Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the WTRL Zwift Racing League. We're out on race number 3. And just as a heads up, everybody, today seems to be the internet issues day. I'll be just solo Nathan casting for today. Dave is going to go figure out what's happening with the internet over in the lands of Colorado. So we'll have a lot of fun here hanging out. Make sure jump on in with chat. We'll have a lot more interaction, probably back and forth with the broadcast because of that. We are jumping in today with the A categories across the board for the EMEA. We will be in with EMEA Middle East for the men's mixed Div 1As, the women's EMEA Central, as well as the men's Central West for the women's Div 1A and EMEA West as well. So it's going to be a long day of broadcasting. 5 different races out there going to be covered. The EMEA Middle East Div 1As are out on course. We'll be jumping in with them in just a moment. And be checking out what's happening over on chat as well, as we are live on Twitch, Facebook. We are now live on Twitter as well. If you just happen to be scrolling through over on Twitter on our ZCL page, make sure to hit those follows over there as well, as we will be putting updates out there a whole lot more. Let's go ahead and see what this course is all about out here. We are on McCurry Islands, and this I actually did the course recon over on World of Zwift for this. Makes things super interesting because it is a newer world for a lot of the racers. And, you know, earlier this morning, APAC, Kate and Anna were talking about how this is supposedly a flatlands loop, but it is not so flat. As Kate mentioned, 297 meters of climbing in total, 3 laps, 38.85 kilometers. We do have that sprint point on the lower lands that the men are approaching at about a K or so out from that at this point. And then, as you do see, there is a sprint at the top end of the second village, up on the top end of what I would call a pretty major climb. I mean, it's fairly flat all the way through, in quotes, I would say, as far as flat goes. I would definitely say that some attacks did succeed in APAC earlier today when they went immediately following the sprint bottom to top. It was pretty cool to see people taking on that challenge. It was a suggestion actually in the World of Zwift. Do see a couple of comments coming on through. Good to see Stephen Hoare as well. Stephen Hoare and Sam Crofts jumping on in to the broadcast. We'll keep eyes over on chat. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the racing as they are getting out on course. We're in with Tronberg here from Cycling Power. And this first section, of course, is going to watch out for, as we have seen over and over again, some of the early attacks to try and grab this. And here we go. Not at all disappointing, as Peter here from the BVR team coming out of Sweden trying to make a move. Arts is there as well. Kirok now on the way, though, with 15 watts per kilogram from Chemnitz from the JR team. Evo trying to hold on. Looks like Arts, though, gets the jump on the rest of the pack at 14 watts per kilogram. 1162 does have continuance, and is going to be able to walk away with that first sprint point. I wouldn't be surprised if that's fastest through segment as well. Chemnitz coming on through for second. Clements there for Skylab in third. So Lithgow there from BL13 now coming on through. Now, this is what we're talking about. If you take a look from this helicopter view, the pack is pretty straggled out at this point. These gaps are forming, riders trying to get back on terms. If some of these front riders that are rolling through that didn't go into a full-on sprint, as we do see the Cryogen rider rolling through with some speed there, perfect timing to put the hurt on a little bit, as obviously the rest of this pack is struggling. That little gap here between this BL13 rider and the rest, Skylab there just shutting it down. Skylab's going to be in that white and black. They are going to get back on terms, it looks like, with this second group that almost fell off. But the rest of these riders here, they're not going to be seeing the front end of this pack again if anybody presses the pace. Now, you would want somebody who's going to be more along the lines of your workhorses, your rulers, those who are maybe not going for the sprint sections, or a full-on counterattack that forces the rest of the pack to really make a chase. In order to split things up, you could kind of play a 2 birds with 1 stone situation. Try and make an attack, and at the same time, make sure nobody gets back on terms with those initial attacks. And that's exactly what LaChance is doing here out of Canada, 170, 168 beats per minute, 250 watts. Backing right on off, interesting enough. Used his feather power up and then said, maybe that's enough. I've been there many a times where suddenly I found I bit off a whole lot more than I can chew. It looks like the Canadian is going to go back into the fold at this point. So immediately, though, from the get-go, things are completely blown apart. And, they said a lot of people were saying this wasn't going to be the kind of course maybe that it is going to split things up because flatland loops in the name, but I'm seeing nothing but a lot of trouble to hang on for a significant amount of the pack already at this point. I do believe we got about 40 that have made the front group out of 56. At 37, at the back end of the group here with Deisov from Skylab there, hammering 181 beats per minute right now. So solid effort coming on through. Hanging out. I'm watching over on chat over on YouTube as well as Twitch as well. Make sure to bring on in any questions or comments. Debbie in Shape is hanging out. Good to see you there, Debbie. As always, over at the Twitch channel, one of the streamers that recently had a pretty awesome showing on the program. It's really cool to see you out there racing, Debbie, and being a part of the TTT as of last week. That was definitely one of the highlights of the streams last week. We're now from BR13 taking over at the front. 3%, as you can see. It does bump up to 6 at times as they make their way over toward the next section out on course. Going to go ahead and see if we can bring in some of the standings as well as where things are at for this category for the men's Middle East mixed out here today, as these riders have been racing for 2 weeks already. A little bit different than the Premier Division. Premier Division jumping out for the first time this week and had an amazing result. And one of the coolest things I would definitely say coming out of the Premier Division is that in this community league where we have been racing, week in and week out, we have discovered a whole lot of talent. And one of the talents out of our community streamers took down the win yesterday. And watching James Barnes come up through the Twitch community and come up through the racing and the Zwift community and then take down his first race in the Premier Division for the next esports team presented by Insured was pretty amazing to see. So a big shout out to James Barnes and his win yesterday, as well as the next team. Congratulations to them. One of the taking down, the 3-time champions, Canyon Esports. So that was a big day for them making their debut. Here's how things currently stand here, though, for the team league standings in the men's mixed EMEA for the Middle East. It's going to be Skylab with 39 points. Wes Wolfpack there at 38. BL 13 bullets, and then Just Racing in for fourth. Cryogen de la Loze. It's going to be Evo Unicorns. Next Level Racing Team is out there as well. Followed in 7th place, followed up by Cycling Power Speed Freaks and BVR Alpha. That's the situation currently in with the A's. In with the B category, Dirty Bees, Ghost, NZ Bro, the Eagle, Kirchmer, B2, Honeybee, ZRG, our boy BO2, Viking, Yeoman Gander, Team X East Side, Sting, Icio in for 7th, ZRGR, TTT Cruise in 8th there. Cool to see that the TTT bringing a lot over to the ZRL on Tuesdays. ZU4R Esport B is in there for 9th, and then R3R ACDC, also a very familiar name as well, in for 10th place as of currently. In the C's, you can see Evo Core HP are dominating, tied up in 2nd and 3rd there with Wolfpack, BVR Delta, and then it's going to be Architects in for 4th, tied up with ZRG in 5th place in this C category. WTRL SQL Dinos, and then ZU4R Esport, Eintracht Frankfurt, Radsport Eagles. Man, some of these names go on forever. Dazina.ccc in for 9th, and it's going to be Cryogen. Jonas Gap in 10th place as it stands. None, doesn't look like we have any D category riders there in for that. So that's the current standings as it is. It does look like Skylab is going to be the team to be watching out for out there today, and trying to hold on to their top spot. Wolfpack and BL13 Bullets. And the cool thing about I'm absolutely loving what WTRL has done here when it comes to the standings and the ability for us to see exactly what kits that they are using in game, the way that they have structured this to make sure that everybody is using the same kit so that they're easily identifiable. Skylab with plenty of those white and black jerseys, as you can see. Be on the watch out for the Wes Wolfpack. They're going to be in that red and black. As you can see, I believe, is this going to be one of their riders? No, this is going to be LeChance here. We'll see if we can find some of the Wolfpack riders here. Vermeulen, they're out of the Netherlands, I think, is the one that's going to be able to help us out on that front, as this is going to be that red and black. So this is the two teams to really be watching out for out there today, as well as BL13. They're in the obvious bicycling magazine kit, bright yellow with the orange, white, and dark green accents on the back of the kit. We are heading on toward the next sprint point. You can see it off in the distance here with the tempo. And this one, I think the opening up for the win on this one is usually around the second little bend heading into the village here. We'll see if they're able to, anybody's able to break away early. Here comes an early attack here. Clements here, maybe Fitzpatrick. No, this is just the initial opening up, as Brinch Larson's going to be the lead out man with the drafting power up. Here comes the arrow power ups. Rigby, perhaps from Skylab, going to be able to hold on at 12 watts per kilogram. No, BL13 is going to roll through with Edding and English, first and second. CrowdGen with Martins there right on the wheel, taking down what looked to be third place. We can take a quick look at that replay and see how that all ended up playing out between these riders. As the section to open up, it looks like we are learning a little bit here on this. That first left-hand turn doesn't seem to be getting a whole lot of advantage for any of the riders. There tends to be the lead out. The right-hand turn seems to almost be like a downhill roll, even though the gradient doesn't change. And as you can see there, Edding, BL13, 1-2 for them. Martins there settles for third. Skylab, fourth and fifth, I think. Maybe reserving a little bit. We did see early on in the race yesterday in the Premier Division that it seemed to be that Canyon was holding off early on any of the sprints, as well as a few of the, and as well as next, I believe, we're not really contending too much for the early sprints as well. So some of the tactics out there seem to be let things whittle down, make sure that you're able to, it's a long race and you can secure all kinds of points later on. Now, fastest through segment, not always the best way to get that, though, as the legs do get a little bit softer as the race does go on. So the division here, good to see you there, Santiago Hinao Hernandez. We are in Division 1A for the Middle East EMEA. Appreciate you jumping in to chat with us and asking all kinds of questions. Any questions at all, everybody, bring them right on through again on the solo cast out here today. And it's always very helpful as we're able to interact a little bit more with chat out there when we are on that solo cast here. Now coming on through for our first lap, very quick lap, 16 minutes almost flat, and a split again in the pack, as I think we are whittling this down 7 seconds back. It's going to be LeChance trying to make this chase back. Not going to have a chance, it looks like, though, as these riders are rolling away at 42s. You can see miles per hour at the top here. Bert Larson, Gombrent there, and the rest jumping back on. Fitzpatrick at the back for Skylab. Skylab very well represented, it looks like, in this front group. We've got at least 3, if not 4 riders from them at the front. It does look like one of the riders there, Hill, actually pressing the pace to make sure their advantage of 4 in this league group does succeed. 3 from BL13, and Wolfpack, though, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders there from the WEZ Wolfpack team, and that is going to be the biggest threat, I think, out here today, as they are sitting in second place overall. With Wolfpack there, only 1 point behind after 2 races, so they've got the representation in numbers. It's really Skylab's race to defend at this point. I am seeing 5 jerseys from Skylab, so essentially WEZ Wolfpack versus Skylab 5v5 at this point, with the rest maybe following and figuring out what to do in response to the rest of them. CryoGen do have quite a few for representation as well with 5 riders. You do see the blue and white kit out there. Martin's having solid sprint as well. We'll start seeing what some of the points were coming through on those intermediate sections. and maybe a day for Cryogen to make up a few of those points that they have lost over the first 2 weeks. We've got plenty of racing left. 5 more races after this one. So Cryogen, I think, definitely not even close to out of the conversation and currently tied up with Just Racing. Just Racing in those orange kits, as you can see. And I believe this is going to be, Lenin there, coming out of Belgium, representing them along with the rest of their crew out there today. Let's go ahead and see if we can start bringing in some of these point segments and how things are playing out. Again, the women's racing going to be starting in just about 30 minutes or so, a little under 30 minutes. And we'll be jumping in with the women's Central Div 1As in at 12:15 Central Time. It does look like, according to these segment points, BL13 having a really good day out here today. We'll bring these right on in and give you guys an idea of how things are going to be playing out. And the third place team, definitely on a roll a little bit here. Elding with the fastest, or first across the line, fastest through segment there, second place with a total of 38 points. They solved there with the fastest through segment, though. Now, this is one of those interesting situations that we've talked about where people can play their strengths. And I'm not sure I'm seeing Deisov in this front group any longer. I'm going to go ahead and look through and just make sure I'm not misinterpreting the situation. Oh, he has made this front group. Excuse me. Riding for Skylab out there still. Tied up currently with Chemnitz there for Just Racing. So Elding, though, with those top points. And BL13 with 1 in 5th place there with English. And then it is going to be Elding at the top. Looking at Skylab, though, still defending very well. They're going to have a total of 59 points on the day so far. Stacking this up also with Fitzpatrick in there. And we're only 1 lap in at this point. So definitely on the defense here, Skylab, with plenty of riders still represented in this front group. 10.3 miles in so far. We'll see if we can swap that up over to kilometers as we had a little bit of change up in our accounts that we were using out here today. So that's why it is in miles at the top at the moment. Currently 29 making the front group. Lenin, 4.6 watts per kilogram to hang on at 175 beats per minute. Gives you an idea of how incredibly difficult things currently are just to be a part of this crew right now. The average watts per kilogram, if you are in and amongst this front group, is going to be about 4.5-ish to make this. So it's a little bit of a no-joke racing still. Maximum average at this point, 4.8 watts per kilogram, actually. So pretty solid amongst these this crew. As far as the sprinters go to be watching out for today, on the 15-second power, LaChance was the man, but at a 15.1 watts per kilogram. But he has been dropped off at this point over the top of the climb, which tells you a whole lot about the nature of the course, that it isn't just a sprinter's course. 192, though, from Dyasov off the front. Skylab making a move. Cryogen's getting involved as well, it looks like here. Solid bridge across. Now, Just Racing are responding very quickly to this, and that is a great move by them in the orange kits. They're going to be on the cover and kill. Evo's looking to get involved as well. It's not most likely going to be splitting this unless it is a counter, and you will see off in the distance here, there is the sprint arch. Those initial attacks are going to spread things out a little bit, really make it difficult for the pure sprinters to make something happen if it put them on the back foot. But there's look like Just Racing did shut that right on down. Now the counterattack. Will this be more of a drown-out sprint rather than a kick to the line? Gombert maybe with a dropout? No, going backwards here, maybe thinking he's going a little bit too early, but the speed is completely lost now at this point. To the front, Just Racing. Chemnitz looking to make it happen. Art's now coming on through, the rider who did take it on through the first time, and he's going to make it happen again at 13.3 perhaps. No, Evo with Pluzmers. Joachim not going to make it happen there, as Joachim has to settle for second. Arts has been the man. Roy Arts out there for Wolfpack. throwing down, and that's good for Wolfpack, sitting in second currently overall, challenging Skylab, and I did not see Skylab involved really in that sprint. Things starting to break up again. Will the counters come over the top? This is the section to go. It's 4 kilometers to the top of this climb and the next sprint point. And Cryogen maybe going to head to the front. You do see a lot of blue and white here. Some communication may be taking place. D. Bailey to the front. Now backing right on off. Looks like it was just a bit of control. Just racing to the back in the orange kits, maybe on the back foot after that initial sprint to try and grab some points. Skylab maybe in trouble here. Fitzpatrick just getting back on terms. I have a feeling that perhaps he went back to try and grab a teammate. Deasov, though, as well as Rigby, no longer involved. And now we definitely have a chink in the armor type situation because 4 Skylab racers making this front group. Cryogen sees that they're on the back foot. This may be the day where the shift in this season here, season 1, and who is going to be winning this Middle East, this might be a defining day for this division because now Cryogen are on the attack trying to put Skylab off of their current reigning first place right now at this point. Knocked them off the podium, and perhaps this might be the moment as WZ now trying to make something happen. Cryogen and BL13 all working against the current series leaders that is going to be Skylab. Skylab now covering it looks like there, as you do see a couple of the riders making their ways forward. It's going to be Fitzpatrick and then Clements there. Solid racing, though. Very tactical out here today. And, Skylab, I think, maybe playing it a little bit patient, ended up getting bit for it, though. And, you got to be careful also when it comes to those middle intermediate sprints. A little bit too over the top, too much energy wasted in order to grab some of those points. And next thing you know, you're no longer even involved. And that's the thing. There's so many points up for grabs each time you go through these first across the line segments. And just to grab enough points to be in the contention versus doing everything you can to get that first place or being, taking big risks sometimes, especially in these team competitions, not going to be worth it. But Deasov, he did do his job, though. Obviously, taking down the that's going to be the standings, but a little bit, let's see if we can go ahead and find the current preems. As you did see earlier, he did grab the fastest through segment for a solid 30 points. So obviously doing his job already. 30 points is a lot to be putting on the board, and it's actually still the top amongst his teammates. But BL13 still on the domination, it looks like here. Skylab, though, with that 59. Have to wait and see what it ends up playing out to be between the riders. But now back to the front, 47 seconds up, and that is not a chase group. It is a solo rider. Now Skylab, though, seeing that perhaps the best move on the day is to send a rider off the front and just get the win outright. Fitzpatrick now on the attack halfway through this climb. We are trying to come across Cryogen, WEZ, that would be 4. Just Racing with JR's there as well. That'd be all 5 of the main teams represented. BVR looking to come across with 10.9 watts per kilogram. That's exactly how you want to do it. You do not want to see riders on the wheels. Looking at the bottom of the screen currently right now, 10 meters. That means there is no draft on this rider as he looks to go across here. JR not involved at this point. That's going to be Just Racing. And maybe they're going to be the team that just makes this all weld back together instead of a breakaway taking place. Interesting enough, we do see one of the Skylab teammates shutting down the attack there from Fitzpatrick as well. A little bit straggled, though, as you can see here. A little confusion. Riders trying to figure out where they do place themselves amongst the pack. There aren't any kind of big splits, so the trust is back in the legs. One of those moments where you trust whether or not you need to push on and put a little bit extra effort in, or this isn't going much of anywhere. I could just settle right on down and allow this to weld itself back together. That's exactly what's going to be taking place here at this point. Riders just looking to reserve as much as they can, get those core temperatures down and find their heart rates back below, hopefully 180 beats per minute, as Vermeulen from WZ here is absolutely skyrocketing on this heart rate currently. We're just looking at the avatars going, okay, everything's settling right on down, but 180 beats per minute is no joke. Svensson here from BVR, a little bit lower, as you can see, at that 160s or so. Luke Potter, good to see you as well. Dave Ranson, good to see you jumping into the chat here. As Dave today is going to be missing on the day. Had a couple of internet issues there, Luke Potter. And yes, definitely saving things yesterday a little bit, as there were a couple of, obviously, internet issues yesterday as well. It seems that it's going around a little bit when it comes to the world of streaming. William N.G., this was actually a part of the conversation with Anna and Kate this morning. Anna was extremely surprised, actually, to see so many people using the Tron bike out there this morning, actually. And I'm actually on board with her there, as, not the fastest bike any longer out there, but a lot of times it may just be a drops thing. Also, I mean, it is a Tron bike. It's looking pretty amazing for a while, but I think it's just gotten so incredibly popular that, it almost becomes like, I don't know, the trendy thing to put on. So there was a little bit of criticism coming on through on the fashion side of things from our fashion police and Anna Russell. Kate was definitely not exactly on board. So the Tron is trusty. We're hearing from why Skip do this. But I don't like how it doesn't show the visual sitting up in the draft. That's a really good point as well. Debbie thinks it's the go-to bike. Tron is faster than anything except for the S5 DT. No, Roman, is that true? I thought there was a couple of other situations depending on what kind of a course that you were on, from my understanding. I personally use the S5 2020 with the DT Swiss pretty much at all times. It's become the Neutron out there out on course, Roman. But I think that there's a couple of other setups that you can use. Anna if you want to go back and watch the broadcast this morning, she had her whiteboard out and she was telling us all about the different setups that were just as good or better. As you can see, our EMEA Central Div 1 will be coming up in 29 minutes from now for the men's. In about 15 minutes from now, we will be jumping in with the women as well. And that's going to be almost right on cue for us, as these guys are doing about 16-minute laps. So they'll just be finishing up here, and we'll be jumping in with the women's race. And Bailey now, it looks like, with Hallonian being the lead-out man now, as we were saying earlier, that early jump, not always able to hang on with that aero power-up being used so incredibly early. Bailey here, though, from Cryogen, looks like he's going to be taking things down. That was essentially didn't even have to try, it looked like, after that second kick and that aero power-up. Cryogen showing us how it's done. Let's go ahead and see if we can grab a quick little look here at that at the replay for that, as super interesting to see where and how the rest of the pack did finish in behind him. This downhill section through here, definitely one that's really dangerous if you were not able to hang on through that sprint. You do see one rider suffering, and I'm not sure that, Bunts check here from NLR, absolutely gone. Not going to be seeing the front end of this pack again. And you can just see how incredibly quickly the riders just roll away from you out on course here if you do let any kind. Eldin as well did make the group, but now has to push 8 watts per kilogram because of the kind of speeds that you do see on this downhill as they head into lap number 3 out here today. We'll take a look at how the sprint points ended up playing out here in just a moment, see if we can find that replay for everybody and how that just played out. Heading into the village sprint, I was actually maybe a little bit wrong on our rider recon, because anybody that is opening up a little bit too early on this first right-hand turn, it's usually the lead-out man, as you do see Halonen doing just that out of Finland. Bailey going to come on through, waited for the perfect moment. Skylab, I thought, from Fitzpatrick was going to be able to come on through. Was not able to hold on, though, to Bailey's wheel tight enough. Bailey also obviously having that aero power-up comes through pretty easily. Now, it wasn't the worst move, though, from Halonen, as he was able to hold on to second place. So, I don't want to give too much discredit to the fact that it did end up playing out well for his points in the end. Doesn't look like Fitzpatrick able to hold on for third. BL13 with Eldine, and then it's going to be Martins Chemnitz, Svensson, Lupinetti out of Italy. Plusmer's there as well. Solid kicks from all of these riders. Let's go ahead and see how things are playing out for the points as the men are making their way around for their final lap. Elding still dominating for the BL13 team. Skylab, though, now at 61 points. Not a big jump up there. Wolfpack suffering on the day as Arts. Now we do get a little bit of an update on the points here. Elding continuing, though, to keep BL13. Now, BL13, though, they've got English there in for 10th right now with those 16 points. I believe that does put them in the top spot at this moment, though. If the race ended now, depending on what is below that top 10, they may be the race winners. But Fitzpatrick is in that top 10 as well with 17 points. We add that on to 61, and you actually end up with a little bit more. So solid race still here for our defending current series leaders. Martin's the only one on board here for our Cryogen team, who's currently sitting in with 33 points and in for 5th place. So BL13 Bullets and Wes Wolfpack, I think, are the ones that are battling it out for 2nd place overall at the moment. There's still plenty of points up for grabs. Not going to call anything at this point, but it's going to be tough to take down Skylab. Now, is Skylab saving something for the final sprint? That is another question that needs to be answered here. If we take a look at where the pack is sitting as far as who has made this front group, I'm seeing 2 Skylab jerseys in here. We're going to also get a little bit of help here from Zwift Power. It's going to be Matthew Webster and Simon Rigby, I believe, off the back for Skylab, actually. So not holding on to this front group. But the ones that have made it here is going to be Joe Hill, Matthew Clements, and Tom Fitzpatrick, all in it amongst this. Wolfpack, though, have 4 riders with Roy Arts, Mirko Lupinetti, Juha Matti Halonen, and it's going to be Jordi Vermeulen so far. So they do have the numbers, and if they can stack that final podium out there today, Wolfpack definitely have a chance here to be taking down BL13 as well as the Skylab team. Maybe more for a tie-up situation, actually, at the end of the day. We may end up with 2 leaders of the series, actually, in just a moment here as we make our way around for this final lap. Chris Rudolph is asking about a new Tron bike. There is no new Tron bike that I'm aware of. If you've got a new Tron bike, I'd love to hear about it. William NG should jump in on the D race. Only one team racing. That would be interesting to see. I mean, that would be kind of, essentially just doing a team time trial, I'm hearing out there. William NG is letting us know. Victor WD, good to see you out there. So for me, Disc all the way he's letting us go, letting us know here. And, that's actually, so I'm on board with that, Victor, to be honest. For me, it's always the disc wheel nonstop. I just feel like the speed from it cannot be ignored, Victor. So definitely the way to go, in my opinion, when it comes to that. You guys don't trust the Zwift algo. We're hearing from Roman. Roman, yeah. So Roman's all about the Tron still, and that's kind of been the conversation about the bikes here. Let me know in chat. I want to hear all of the different opinions about what is your bike setup and why in chat, because they're definitely, the moment we start talking about what bike to use, there's almost like an identity crisis around what bike are people going to be used. Like, people identify so strongly with this is the setup and I know this is what's going to be the fastest. And there is a little bit of, there's definitely a little bit of pride that I can understand about picking the right bike and knowing that your setup is the fastest setup and defending that. And then if you didn't get it right, oh man, now we're in trouble, right? So it has a big impact on all of the racing. Let us know. What is your pick? What do you think is the best bike to have out there? Personally, I'm always going with that S5 and the discs out there. Victor's letting us know this is an interesting setup. And I've seen these mixed setups, and I don't know how I feel about these mixed setups. I'm just not sure about this, Victor. But he's letting us know that until you have disc wheel set, level 35 plus, or one of the fastest non-disc wheel sets, level 37. The Tron is your fastest option, flat rolling routes, according to Zwift Insider. Okay, well, and discs definitely. It's interesting how much you do need to Zwift in order to get to that level too. It's a pretty big commitment when it comes to drops. That's for sure. Tron, because lazy and it's too hard to over. I understand that one as well. I definitely get that. We're hearing from Eurocycling Tips, CMI Pro Cycling, on board with you on that. And I was there for the longest time. Stuck on Tron, nothing close in the sub level 32 range. We're hearing from William. Carissa in the house. Good to see Carrie Starr. Let us know. I agree with why skip. I like the visual that tells me I'm in the draft, so I don't usually race with the Tron. That's a really good point, actually. I do believe we do have our next sprint point coming on up here, as we do have a Tron bike going off the front, speaking of, and that's going to be Bailey again. No Gombert now. Using a drafting power-up, interesting enough. If I had the drafting power-up, I probably would have waited a moment here, but here comes Peterson for BZR. These points are really going to matter for the final kick to the line. Just racing, maybe going to steal this from Peterson. Peterson just going to hang on. BL13 coming on through right behind him with English now. Crucial points on the line. Fitzpatrick, I think, covering and killing. I think he's just making sure he's grabbing enough points. I've got a feeling that Skylab are reserving a little bit of something for that final kick to the line out there today. Following wheels, making sure they're grabbing as much points as they can through each one of these, but then also having something for that final sprint to the line, as there are so many points on offer across the final finish line here. We're now BL13 pushing 5-5 to the front. Just a little bit of an attack. No, I think just making sure nobody goes much of any. If you have made this front group, most likely you're not getting dropped off at this point. 5 minutes to go to the start of the ladies' race. And does look like a very stacked field out there. I am seeing Bristol Fires and Zed Bro Aragorn are in there as well. Pretty excited to see, when it comes to the women's racing, because we do have a little bit smaller fields overall in the women's racing. One of the cool things about that, though, is we do tend to get very stacked fields. A lot of the top talent end up coming all into two pens for the day that we'll be able to cover. You do see 4:43 to the start of their race there in the lower right-hand corner, so we'll be jumping in with them in just a few moments. These men, though, they're going to be finishing up here in about 10 minutes or so. And getting a little bit of a call out here about the sticky watts. Interesting enough to see. And I'm not seeing too much. Fitzpatrick, interesting enough. I've not been on top of that, but we'll see what ends up happening with the Cryo Rider. He is getting dropped off now at this point, though, a little bit. Trenberg from Cycling Power looking to shut this down. Lennon now coming across. And at that high RPMs, though, there may be something going on there. I'm picking up on that. Fitzpatrick, though, obviously having an eye for things. But always leaving it up to the race organizers to keep an eye on things as well. Looking through Matt Wheeler's Zwift Insider speed test, our solo at 300 watts, not 60 miles per hour on a downhill sprint. Disc better at pack. It's a great point, actually, and something that we definitely do discuss a lot of times, Matt. When it comes to different speeds, different terrain, as well as climbing, the steady output are essentially time trial efforts. So if you're looking for being alone out on course, pressing the pace, a lot of times when it comes to breakaway situations, solo, yes. But in high speed sprinting situations, it would be really interesting if we had some tests where, you saw the acceleration, 0 to 60 is a very different test than 300 on a flat, 300 watts on a flat, all out. What do you just set the needle and see what kind of drag efficiencies and other things are out on course versus what's the 0 to 60 on a bike? It might be very different. So that's actually a test we should probably end up playing out. That would be kind of cool to check those out. Let's see if we can get some permissions around that, or at least get Zwift Insider perhaps to throw down some of that with us. What do you think, chat? Live testing 0 to 60s on bikes? That'd be pretty cool. I don't know if I'd want to do it with a human though on the bike. And that's where we'd have to figure out if we can get permissions or not. Right. Cause like you throw down, okay, here's 1100 watts or whatever. Here's 1,000 watts or whatever it might be. But if cause Shane, GP Llama's done some pretty cool tests out there when it comes to, checking out what this might be, but it's not scientific enough for me. It's not lab rat enough for me. It's not under the microscope controls for the variables because, at those kind of wattages, you might have a 50 to 100 watt difference and you're not getting to 0 to 60 quick enough. A robot's always going to do it perfectly. Set it 1200, boom, 0 to 60. Which one gets there the quickest is going to be the question. And then you've got the acceleration test that you need. So we'll see what we can do. Thanks, chat. We appreciate that a lot. Getting us to that. Matt Wheeler, are we laughing at the fact that we're in miles per hour right now rather than kilometers per hour? Richard P is letting us know. Can you display speed, distance, and metric? Richard P, you just happen to be here on a day when we have brand new streamer accounts. So that is the only reason why they are displayed this way. And I do not believe we can change them once we go live. So apologies on that. They are almost always. And that is actually an old school joke amongst the ZCL broadcast. We've been here, for quite a long time. And some of the we're back to one of our old school technical issues that we had way back in the day. Essentially because we just got set up with some new accounts. So appreciate it, Richard. And we will be swapping over if we can throughout the broadcast to metric instead of imperial in just a moment. But currently 22 miles in. Do a little bit of maths, and we are right around that pushing. What is that going to be? Into the 40s? I'm not going to do my math quickly for everybody on that one. Heading into the final sprints here in just a moment as we head through the forest and the fishing village. Maybe that will be chat's job out here today. Is Bailey now 5.86 watts per 145. It looks like things have calmed right on down, actually. Everybody's thinking about these last couple of sprint points. And the reason being is that this is going to be most likely race winning or race losing sections out on course. So we take a look at the current point structure. 55 points currently for Eldon. Clements there at 51. Clements now 34 in for Skylab. Skylab still dominated, looks like, for the points. Perhaps now looking though, I think 86 currently standing in the standings there for BL13. Skylab Racing, if you do the math, though, out there today, it does look like they are currently the leaders with 3 of those riders in the top 7 for the points right now. BL13 are going to have to make some moves in these final couple of Ks, but they've only got 3 riders. They're going to have to stack this podium, absolutely. Very, very tactical. Taking down both of these sprints going to be difficult asks of the riders. Current standings, take a quick look at them as we head. And this is where things are at. Skylab, Wes, BL13, Just Racing, and Cryogen. We do have Evo as a part of the conversation out here still today. Not sure that they've made this front group with Pluzmer's they've made the front group, but they've not made a whole lot of points out of it. Vermillion now on the counter here, making some of the riders on the attack, making some of the riders chase. And I think this is just to soften up the legs. Interesting if that BL13 would try and go across here. They're one of the riders I would think I'm not sure that this is for points, perhaps. Maybe just teasing something out. And Skylab not super involved. So I have a feeling that this is tactical to get Skylab to be on the back foot. Doesn't seem like it's working out very well for them. As here comes Clements. Now 10 watts per kilogram, 12 watts per kilogram here coming from the Skylab rider. Now it looks like Wolfpack here trying to lead things out with Helonen though. Where is BVR coming on through? What? BL13? Let's go ahead and take a quick look. I mean, that was insanity. Like, came through so incredibly quickly. I have no clue who even took that down. Real quick before we head into the final sprint. And it looks like as they came to the line, Clements trying to hold on. No, BL13. No, that was Just Racing. Excuse me. almost took it down, but it was a little bit too late. Did Wolfpack hold on right to the line? No, it was Just Racing. Solid effort there from the JR rider. Chemnitz absolutely killing it. Now back in with the racing as they're about to hit that final sprint. Less than a mile or so to go. You'll be able to see off in the distance. This is the high-speed sprint that we've seen over and over again throughout the day. It's going to be all about that last 200, not even 150 meters. And earlier today, Anna Russell called it. It's essentially from the start of that stone bridge. The rider who kicks at the start of the stone bridge has almost always took down the sprint from that moment. I actually wonder if that's because the stone bridge slows you down just a tad. I wonder if it acts a little bit like cobblestones. That is not official information at all whatsoever, but it's just a guess that perhaps that might be why. Otherwise, it's just the perfect time to go. A little bit of a kick here. BL13 going really early. Elding, is he going to be able to pull this off? There, he's got the finish line off in the distance, getting a response from the rest of the crew now. Now it's going to be Wolfpack from Arts coming across. Arts going very, very early. Arts has been on it today so far, but I think this is a big mistake going from this far out. There's the stone bridge we've been talking about. Now the kick is coming through. BL13 with English perfectly timed. Weir's there as well. I think his teammates Weir's going to be taken. He did it. English at the start of that stone bridge, and it was only with 10 watts per kilogram. This is what we're talking about, people. Look at this. Elding goes early. As you can see, this is 20 seconds out or so from the line. Now here comes Arts, 13 watts per kilogram, very early, 1,000, but he's just going to get swallowed up here in just a moment, completely consumed by the rest of the pack with the speed coming through. English went right at that perfect time. He's only holding 9 watts per kilogram at this point. He's about to get swarmed, but I think you can see that front wheel coming through. Svensson was there. Solid kicks, but English, I think, BL13 making it happen. That might bet him for the race win as well, as these riders looking to cool down. Most likely completely over the handlebars is English still at 183, 184 beats per minute. These races are no joke, boys and girls. Absolutely demolishing themselves to the line. Let's see if we can grab some results for everybody here. At least we'll go ahead and show you how things played out for the men's race. For the A's, we'll jump in with the rest of the results in just a little bit here. When they do, because a lot of the riders still for the B's, C's, and D's are still going to be out on course. But for the men's race just now that what we saw, Nick English comes on through with a 49.03. Matthias Svensson there for BVR Alpha. Cryogen followed up by Joachim Husmers there, one of the old school racers. Good to see Joachim still out there racing. Absolutely awesome. Mirko Lupinetti, Wolfpack. Skylab only in the top 10, barely with Tom Fitzpatrick. We are going to see, I believe, a mix-up with BL13 with 2 riders in the top 10. I have a feeling out there today, everybody, we've got a tie, most likely, for the series leaders. Wolfpack also with a couple of riders in there as well, so we'll have to wait and see how the standings are going to end up after this. We will get an update, I think, on it, too, within the next few minutes. So that's the current situation. As Robert Mertens followed up by Peter Weir, then Thomas Lehnen. It's going to be Roy Arts. Roy Arts ends up in 9th after that early attack. So you can see exactly, everybody, why you do not want to attack from that section. We're about to jump in with the ladies as they are just about to hit their first sprint out there today. Let's go ahead and bring them right on in. First sprint on the day for the women. As things do open up, it's going to be Ashley Moomin, Pasio, and crew. We've got the current world champion sprinting with Webb. Courtney Webber, teammate, takes it down. Moomin Pasio coming on through for second place. Remember, it's not going to be in the same exact jersey because she's going to be wearing the world champions jersey, and she's actually hanging out on a pure climbers rig. Interesting enough. Way to jump in immediately with a little bit of surprise, everybody, as we've got our current reigning world champion of virtual cycling out here on Zwift for our women's race. We were talking about how stacked these fields may be, and sure enough, it doesn't get much more stacked than that. As Moon Passio riding out here for, she's actually put together her own team, which is pretty awesome to see. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring in all the information about that. But her own esports team coming up through the community, which is awesome to see. It's going to be that Roca Cobra team, Roca Cobra Cycling out of South Africa. Cass is going to be here. I believe Courtney Webb is riding for them as well. We'll try and get the rest of the information for this crew as they head into their first climb on the day. Coalition is well represented out here as well as the Bristol Flyers. Is Rowan King going to be out here? I believe. Perhaps. No, that's Ashley Moon Passio actually riding for that Roca Cobra. She's got Rowan King next to her name over on Zwift Power still. So, Jules Cass, Ashley Moon Passio, Courtney Webb, and it looks like Rhiannon Denton are going to be the riders that we'll be watching out for that Roca Cobra team. They're going to be in this pink kit with the R on the back. Obviously, Roca Cobra Cycling there as well at the blue shorts. So we look at Jay Cass. A little bit of attack off the front here. And that's going to be Courtney Webb. And they have been extremely aggressive, actually, from the get-go. We saw this last week. And attack after attack after attack coming in from this Roca Cobra. And it was Ashley Moon Passio and Courtney Webb that did go off the front in last week's race. And they're doing this again out here today. No surprise, playing to their strengths. Passio not going to be closing things down smart enough to her teammate, just keeping control of the front of the pack, it looks like. SZ looks like trying to come across, though, with Fast Berglund. Bristol Flyers there as well. Trying to shut things down, not let this get too out of control. Ed Zebro just getting a free ride, it looks like, toward the back. They're going to be in the blue and black and white kit with blue accents toward the back of this crew right now. Webb, I don't think is going to be getting away. Now pushing again, though, 4.9. She's not giving up the ghost here at this point. But I think all said and done as this comes back together. Andy Chapman's jumping on in, letting us know. Absolutely love the comment, Andy Chapman over on our Facebook group. And these are some of our favorite comments that come on through, and always love to see the new riders and racers out on course. Andy Chapman's letting know, first race I've managed to watch live. Usually only chance I get just watching the vid in bed. Nathan, my wife enjoys falling asleep to the sound of your voice, but Dave gets too excited and wakes her up. Andy, I appreciate the comments there. Well, sleeping soundly tonight, perhaps, at this moment, but we are missing the Donnie Brooks and the Donkey Kongs out here today. We'll be seeing Dave next week for sure. Appreciate the kind comments there, Andy. Now a little bit of a counterattack maybe for the KST team here out of Denmark. Maybe just keeping things under control and a pace that's steady. Might put some riders off the back. I think there's some absolute suffering happening here. NZ Bro for Aragorn. 179 beats per minute coming from Smithers, trying to get back on terms. Stubbs there as well from Bristol Flyers, going to try and shut this down. 5.9 watts per kilogram coming from her. And going to just roll back into the pack. 185. Heart rate's going to start coming down. Edzeb Bro Rider is just going to survive. This is only the first lap, and we've already whittled this down quite a bit. There's a chase. Well, not group. Canyon Dev with Hunter as well as Sandu off the back. Edzeb Bro also have a solo rider out in here with Gascoigne. And then it is going to be Neil. I mean, this is complete mayhem. Like a grenade has gone off at the back of this pack. And that's going to be the damage done by that Roca Cobra Cycling there with Courtney Webb, who continues to be the aggressor. Now Moomin Passio making her way to the front on the counter, perhaps, for her teammate. 3.7. Nope. Following things up from Thompson. Thompson continues with this relentless pace up in that 4.5 watts per kilogram or so for that Danish team. I think this is mainly a Danish team. If I look at KST, it seems that the riders are almost all with a Danish flag next to their name. They're heading into this little fishing village in just a moment here, about halfway through the climb. Little bit of a feather power up there. from one of the Roca Cobra. That is going to be Webb. Interesting enough, the moment that she used that, perhaps it was a mistake at 166 beats per minute right now because, or just thinking I'm not going to need this and letting it go at this point. But it definitely would have been useful in the sprint section here. It's going to be coming up in just a moment. Nick Keith, this is a great little comment coming through and giving us some information. Appreciate it very much. Letting us know that Pasio is South African, but is based in Girona, Spain. We're seeing that according here, it's Roca Cobra, not Cobra. Corba, thank you. Appreciate that. Roca Corba is a famous climb nearby, hence the name. I appreciate that. Yeah, and get in the habit, that's for sure, of putting the wrong pronunciation across. You know, your mind says things or sees things the way that you say them the first time. So I was putting the B ahead of the R over and over again there. And surprisingly enough, usually Dave gets me on those and lets me know pretty quickly, but I think he followed my lead on that one and was saying it the same way as myself. So I really appreciate the correction there, Nick Keat, as always. Wow. Good to see CS Tricks coming on through here. And this is some old school riders today, having Joachim Husmers as well as Casey Shum in amongst all the old school Team Experimental riders coming on in. So good to see. V Wins letting us know as well that for some odd reason, Nathan is going to be the voice to fall asleep to. The voice of Zwift is no longer. Now, is that a compliment? I'm not sure that that's a compliment, V. Oh, we just fall asleep. You make us fall asleep? Is that what we're doing here, V, now? Really appreciate this one. Kiss 100 races, everybody, over on Nathan Guerra's personal channel at midnight was a thing for quite a while. I think we're waking up earlier nowadays on Sundays to jump in with the Americas. Is if you do want to snipe some points for your Zwift power rankings, it's a good race to do so. Coalition now pushing through at 4.8 watts per kilogram. It's going to be Roca Corba. Thank you very much, Keith, there, making their way to the front now. Ashley Moon-Pasio now on the attack. And this may be I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the way to win this sprint, but out of all of the riders that I think might be able to break everyone and win this with an early attack rather than a sprint to the line. And this most likely is going to be her forte, obviously. She is a very strong climber and a breakaway rider here. 6.7 watts per kilogram, gaining 1 second here. But again, the pack is just so incredibly strong if they work together. 45 kilometers per hour, as you can see. Webb now, interesting enough, Webb needs to get off the front, actually. If she's not going to make this really difficult on her teammate. Moon-Pasio now forcing the issue, but here comes the aero power up now from her team. Moon-Pasio now kicks 10 watts per kilogram though, but now the Cass rider, Jay Cass over the top. No, it's going to be NZ Bro Aragorn here. Tribune with the patience and makes it happen. The upset, and this is why esports racing is about the specialists. And as you can see, obviously, NZ Bro Aragorn with Tribune knows exactly what she's doing. Takes down some of the most crucial points on the day. You know, Roca Corba there seemed to have a plan, but the upset with the timing. A little bit of a drafting power up here from Tribune, and now the rest of the riders need to get back on terms real quickly, or else this is going to be over for them before it started. Coalition almost back on terms. SZ Canyon Dev to the back of this. Oliver suffering from the attack from her teammate. 3.9, 4.2. This is a moment of truth. She needs just one last dig. This looks like it is over. Look at how quickly they just roll away, though. She's at 57. She could get a little bit of rest. She does need a kick, though, to make it happen. And this looks like it's said and done for the NZ Bro rider. And, you know, you have that meme, the biggest desert. What is it? The largest gap in the world is this gap between that pack and your front wheel. 2 seconds, and it just continues to go out. The SZ rider here, though, as you can see, getting a free 60 kilometers per hour. And this is the difference, but doesn't look like it's going to be too free here at this moment. Needs to get right back on terms. She is going to be doing so. 3 riders bite the dust off the back, though, because of the inattentiveness for a moment there, or maybe just no power to get back on terms. Still, this SC rider, that gap, so incredibly important not to let any meters go. 4 meters, 3 meters, just barely getting back on terms. And we do see 4 kits there for SZ, all making this group. Boca Corba. It looks like I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 riders for them, including the World Championship kit. Coalition with 1, 2, 3 riders minimum, I believe. So still solid as well. AJ Roll, this is a really great comment coming through from AJ Roller Disc. And chat, let me know what you think about this one. As wondering if the super truck threshold should be slightly lower for the women's category. And I don't know. I'm not going to answer that one. It's definitely an interesting idea. As the speeds are going to be slightly slower, and as well as the reality of weight definitely impacting. And on average, you are going to have lighter avatars across all of the women. And so because of that, I know Chris and Min, Carrie Starr here probably has some strong opinions about that one. As I know, the downhills have always been a section of course where she really, 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 really does not like how hard she has to work for them. So I have a feeling we're about to get some comments in there about that one. But any opinions on that, definitely welcome, because I could definitely see, because of the average speeds on the downhills that are going to be hit by the ladies because of the weight out there, most likely would see more super tucks with a change up out there. But at the same time, you could have a similar argument that on the watts per kilogram on the uphills, perhaps, but that's a strength and power situation as well. So maybe, AJ, I think that's not a bad idea. It's a tough one, though, as super tucks and how they work out on course almost feel like they should all function the same, that everybody's got the same environment. And so getting into a super tuck is the same across when it comes to an environmental thing. It's not like everyone's going to have it's like putting an obstacle out on course. Everyone gets the same obstacle. You don't put different obstacles on course for all of the riders. So there's a little bit of give and take there. Chris is saying this is okay. I love it that she's coming in with a little bit of Zwiftcraft for us here as well, as one of our longest standing riders. Never thought about that. Super tuck can be high risk, high reward. Making it easier for lower speed riders could add an element to the race. I don't know how Zwift could do that though. Yeah, well, I mean, it would be gender specific to the avatars. Then I think is what would need to happen. That just these avatars end up in a super tuck at 56 instead of 57 or something along those lines. Here we go. Have it now. Wow. Muners now on the front. WLC Belgium. This is going to be the men's race that we're jumping into. Hasim trying to make something happen, but the timing just not there. Van Latham probably to the line. No, WLC taking out with a co and jumping right on in with the men's Central Div 1A mixed backpedal on the attack. It looks like not backpedaling at this point as Co took it down there for WLC. It looked like now as Applewhite makes a little bit of a move. This can get shut right on down. Completely strung out pack, as you can see in this men's Central EMEA Div 1. These separations are going to be the interesting sections, interesting points to pay attention to. As you see Hall for ART, Zwift España. ART is still trying to get back on terms with plenty of riders here. I think this is going to weld back together, though, pretty easily. We've got a lot of firepower in here and amongst the Central EMEA. It does look like there might have been a dropout, though, here from one of the riders there in that pink kit. That's going to be B. Stewart from the LGP CIM team. Just saying enough is enough. I'm done, boys. Foods right here trying to get back on terms. 190 beats per minute here with that arrow power up. BL13 with Chubb. And then it's going to be Shaw from Coalition. Nico from Foods right. There's obviously some sort of a serious attack happening on the front here. Nobody is holding up, actually. 6, 7 watt. It's got to be a crazy 7 watt per kilogram on the front. And that is going to be, I see a black kit up there. See if we can find out exactly who this is. It's going to be Morrison here from the Chain Gang RT. Applewhite from Backpedal here as well. I thought that this wasn't really going to be doing much of anything, but I was wrong. On the attack immediately here. Backpedal. Countering. Now it's going to be SRT in that SZR kit. These two riders here now going 1-2 over the top with the Village. Nice. Very expensive bikes here as well, coming from them with those Cervelo S5s. Some old school discs followed up also by some DT Swiss there toward the front. They do see the damage that's being done to the back here, and they're not actually having to put in too much of an effort to make it happen. It's just the distance between the avatars and a solid 4 to 5 watts per kilogram. So the speeds moving through here are just what's doing the damage here at the back because riders being inattentive. Look at these splits already, everybody. I mean, this is a fairly serious moment for the rest of these crews. See if we can bring in some of the standings, get an idea of how this is playing out. The women's side of things coming into their second time for the sprint. They're 17.7 kilometers in. We'll still see if we can get a change up here on that men's side of things as to the not having those awesome miles out there that the rest that only America can make any sense of. Back in with the ladies though, about to hit their sprint for the second time. We'll give you everybody an idea of where the points currently stand in just a moment, but it is going to be Webb, I believe, that's going to be the aggressor again out here. She has been leading things out over and over again for this Roca Corba team. Now there it is, 8.4 watts per kilogram. Here comes the arrow power up, though, from the Coalition rider. I believe it is going to be Fliz now. A little bit of attack over the top. Webb, though, 13 watts per kilogram, has the effort and the arrow power up. She hits the pylon now, trying to hold on. It's going to be Rundquist, but I think Webb's just got too much power in the tank. 11.4. They're going to have to settle for the minor placings in this one. I think NZ Bro did challenge the Betty Squad Racing team there across the line. That's going to be a Betty. Let's see if we can get a name on that. As I think that's going to be the only rider actually coming from the Betty Squad Racing that's made this run. That's Ashley Green. Solid kick from Ashley so far. And that's a top 3 for first across the line for her. As we look to see if we can bring in some of the segment points for this women's racing and how they've been playing out so far. Again, apologies on some of the productions out here today. There was a lot of last-minute scrambling with some internet issues, and the reason why you got solo Nathan out there today is partially with that, with Dave unable to make it with us today due to some internet issues happening over in the lands of Colorado. So we'll see Dave again soon. He'll be hanging out with us, obviously, on the TTT on Thursday. But this is the situation right now, and as you can see, NZ Bro playing it very smart, regardless of the fact of up against some of the fastest riders in the world of Zwift racing here. Obviously, with Ashburn Moon Pastio being here, the current reigning world champion, with the first across the line points with 20 points there in 7th, but it's going to be true in there. First across the line, 26, fastest through second, 33, 59 points. NZ Bro showing us how it's done right now. Big shout out to them. A little bit of attack now, and I think that there may be some frustration that's going to start coming from the Roca Corba team, at least knowing the kind of strength that they have in the pack out here today. You know, I wonder if perhaps we'll see another situation like last week where it's like enough is enough. We just need to grab as much points and secure them the easiest way we can. Let's go on the attack. And Webb here heads right to the front. Perhaps that's going to be the situation. No, not going to happen. It looks like backing right on off and being patient, though. Fast Berglund, they're riding for Team SZ. Pearson for the Bristol Flyers. Flyers there with 6th and 4th locked up right now for the points overall. Coalition only with Argue. Betty Squad there with Green there currently in 9th place with 13 points. as they head through this middle of the climb village. Keep also for Roca Corba. Actually, Roca Corba, I think, with plenty of points so far. Moving past you with 20. Keep there with 28. And then we're seeing Webb there with 48. Most likely the current leaders on the day, if we do some simple math. NZ Bro only have Truban with 59 at the top. So, although gaining a lot of points, it is a team competition out there today. And so the reality is that Bristol Friars, SZ, Roca Corba, they're all most likely going to be taking down anything that NZ Bro are making happen out there today right now. Off the back, we do see one of the Roca Corba teammates, team riders, though. Denton, unable to hang on. We're also seeing it looks like Keep unable to hang on. So this is going to open up a little bit of a gap for the rest of these teams to fill and grab some extra points. As Keep is no longer going to be involved here for those points. And having an extra rider is always a huge deal in this top 10 for the points. So Roca Corba are going to have to be a little bit more aggressive, perhaps, in order to take down these teams because they're isolated now at this point. With only Webb and Ashley Moomin-Passio, I believe. No, there's one other rider. Excuse me. I keep getting the jerseys a little bit mixed up there, obviously, with the World Championship kit being out there today. But Tiffany Keep going backwards, unable to hang on at this point. It's going to be Jules Cass. That's going to be the other rider there next to Courtney Webb that may be able to make something happen and hold on to some points for that Roca Corba team. Men's race just getting on through and just missing their sprint. Apologies on that, everybody. We'll jump in with them as they do come over the top, as there is a solid little bit of a gap, though, in the men's mixed Division 1A Central. They're just coming up over the top of their climb sprint, and it looks like, taken out by OX for the SRT team. SRT have been extremely tactical so far in this race, which is really great to see. They've been covering a lot of the moves and countering at perfect timings, keeping the speeds really high. We do see the back pedal now on the attack again. See if we can bring in some of the points where they stand. Art Photon's going to be going off the back as well as VCRT. He's got to get in that 9.4 watts per kilogram. Even with that, though, it's most likely not going to be happening, as this pack is going to be going way too fast. You see him now trying to come across, coming out of Ireland, maybe getting dropped here at this point into 40 miles per hour, but at the front they're doing 41, and they're going to continue to walk away. This is why little gaps over the top of this extremely fast downhill just cannot be allowed to go at all. And this might be said and done. That is a large enough pack behind, though. They may be able to start getting a good enough snowball effect in order to bring this back. You see him kicks again. 40 miles per hour here coming from the WLC rider. Give us exactly the idea of what kind of speed is being held. Now matching it here. And this crew from behind might be able to pick up some speed and avalanche, snowball this up a little bit, add some weight and some speed to it. But if they continue on at the front, most likely going to keep away. They're going to have to make an effort, though, here to do so. And I think they are. I do not believe they want this pack to come back. There's some serious threats. And here's the story that's playing out behind here is that Yasim is one of the strongest sprinters in this field, but over the top of the climb may be struggling. And this is exactly what SRT and the rest of this crew wants to see. They do not want him involved in any way whatsoever in this race for those sprint points here. So they're going to do their absolute best to keep this splintered. And the gap continues to go out here. Mjolnir's now going backwards, unable to hold on even on the downhill, actually, for the WLC team. The Belgian rider is going to end up in the chase group in 3 seconds out. And I have a feeling as soon as this flattens out, we may see a couple of riders look to go across with some orange number jumps. And that may be the only way that this is going to come back for anyone. Or that chase group is going to have to start working together a little bit. But at the front of this crew, I have a feeling things are going to start settling down. They're going to start thinking about that next sprint point. That crew's going to come back, but that's not a good sign for anybody that didn't make that. break, because that is only lap one. If they're put into that much of a struggle bus over the top there, it's really telling as to what most likely is going to happen the next time up and over the top of that climb. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring on in what the situation is for these segments in the Central for the men's mixed. As it is, it looks like in the preems, WLC definitely on some domination so far, as they are leading things out with a co. And in the ladies' race, they are just about to take on their next time up on the top. It's 26 minutes to the start of the EMEA West. Just as a heads up, everybody, we will be jumping in with the ladies' race for that. But ACO here now, 45 points currently. This is the situation in this men's race after one lap. 30 points, and 30 points for Nicole's Van Latham and then Jennings. So that is a pretty solidly tied up situation there between those three teams out there today. WLC now 28 with Co as well. So it does look like WLC most likely going to be in the lead with Cope now also in there. Campus Trust now holding down with 19 points for his team there. Bayan Applewhite for the back pedal. Only one actually for back pedal out there today with Van He there rounding out the top 10. So that's the current situation out here today, as the riders make their way around course toward the first intermediate sprint onto their second lap. Still 3 seconds here back, and as soon as this opens up to this next sprint point, it's going to be a really unhappy chase group, actually. Coming on through, though, for the ladies racing, they're about to hit their next sprint point, and things are already opening up here. It is going to be Moomin Passio saying enough is enough with Courtney Webb right on her wheel. So Roca Corber saying, okay, it's time to take this racing a little bit more seriously. NZ Bro's not going to be stealing any points from us, especially after losing Tiffany Keep. I think that the alarm bells may be going off just a tad. So Roca Corba on the attack there. Movement past Neil Webb. They're taking down the 1-2. It looked like here. Coalition maybe on the, nope, Argue, I think just trying to hang on using that arrow power up actually on through. Couple of riders here trying to hang on here in the ladies' race still. It's going to be the SZ rider and Coalition rider, and going to be the next ones to bite the ducks with Dixon and S. See who is S here from the SZ. It's going to be Sarah London, I believe, off the back now. For Team SC, she's done her job and grabbed the points that she can, but it's going to be a solo roll to the line. Hopefully be able to hold off the chasers. I think with enough time gap here at 119, most likely going to be able to do so. The Coalition rider, maybe we want to hold up if this energy is going to be wasted rather than used toward getting back on terms. Now the situation here, it's going to be Coalition represented with 3 riders there. Amanda Argue, Emma Dixon off the back now at this point there. So it's going to be Agata Fliss for the Coalition team, as well as Philippa Draper. So 3 riders still in and amongst here for Coalition as they make their way around on course. Now, it actually is now Coalition and Canyon Dev 2 separate teams, actually. Perhaps, as I am seeing a little bit different kits. So I don't want to call that incorrectly because it does look like the Coalition team and the Canyon Dev team are using 2 separate kits out here today. Coalition, perhaps. I'm on to the Canyon Coalition riders and Canyon Dev. Definitely 2 separate things it looks like out here on course. So perhaps something to do with U23 versus a Coalition that's over a certain age. Help me out there, chat, if you do have some information on that front. Welcome to Canyon Esports Community, the Coalition. The group is open to all who wish to race and represent Canyon Esports at the community level, is what we're seeing there. And then the Canyon Dev, definitely with a different tag over at Zwift Power for the team. I have a feeling it does have something to do with that. And this is the Canyon Development Squad that sits below the Canyon Esports Pro teams. So essentially it's a 3-tier situation for those who are wondering. We all learned something. I was thinking that's what it was going to be, something along those lines. If you're a fan of our team and would like to race under our banner, then you can be a part of the Coalition team. So Coalition out here with 3 represented. Dev now, though, with only, it looks like 1 rider able to make this front. Maybe 2 riders here, it looks like, actually, able to make the front group amongst these ladies. Looking to see if I can get there's only 1, though, with the tag there, and that's going to be Draper that I can see. But to the front, I'm seeing what looks to be, maybe Argue's just using the kit here for Dev. As you can see, the bright pink there, which is a little bit different between the riders out there today. Jumping on in with Chad here for just a moment. Good call there, Kerry. Appreciate the help on there as well. Have we observed a pattern where the splits occur on this course? I would expect after the country split on the riser in. Yeah, I think so, Dave. Great observation there, as it does seem to be that there's a huge pattern here. The country sprint riser into the village seems to be a split, and I think that's because there is a little bit of a 6%. There's like a little bit of a steep kick through there, and then we also see splits taking place pretty quickly, immediately following the kick over the top of the highest point out on course for that climb through the sprint section. Up by the tempo. That seems to also be a section, of course, because of the high speeds coming down on the other side. I think a lot of times riders maybe don't recognize how much they do need to sprint in order to just hang on amongst the riders. So definitely something to be aware of out there. As far as the splits go, speaking of that section for the splits, it's a great little call actually coming from me, because it does look like Morrison as well as Almeida are on the attack exactly through that section you were talking about there, Dave. Gargulio, as looks like the French rider as well as Morrison from Chain Gang RT are again on the attack here. Wood, though, Top Cat as well, and Ramajo are going to be looking to close this down. You can see how little the pack actually has to work to make this happen, though, as 3.0 to 4 watts per kilogram is all that's really needed to bring this right on through. And as we make our way around on course, the pack all going to be coming back together, it looks like. Not a whole lot of action going to be able to stay away. Riders, I mean, these watts per kilogram, too, they're not exactly... 7.2 now, as we are seeing from Debney looking to go across, but it's kind of like they're interesting attacks. I feel like they're not actually full-on attacks. It's just setting these steady paces toward the front rather than anything up into the orange numbers, which is super interesting to me, the way that these riders are playing this. It just kind of seems a little bit more group ride oriented rather than let's try and make any kind of serious moves. But now, as I do say that, it does look like one of the WLC riders is going to make their way to the front. 4.2, not going to go anywhere, though, as he backs right on off. It all looks like just controlling the pack rather than trying to make anything that's going to amount to a serious move that's going to stay away at this point. So perhaps these riders a little bit more comfortable in not trying to make anything of a serious move out here today. Just as of yet. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring in some of the standings as to where things are at. Now, interesting enough, Athletic is the current leader here, but not very well represented in what we saw in the points, as Athletic is actually won both the TTT and the last sprint, the last points race actually out here. But they are only, I believe, from what I've seen so far, not super involved at in the preem so far. I've only seen Cope. It looks like actually Campusstrasse and Hovat there with 8th and 10th place in the points overall. So we may be seeing a little bit of a change up today. Or perhaps Athletic is just keeping things calm on the front end of this race here. They do have riders still involved in the front end of the race at this point. So it's not like they're struggling or anything to keep riders here from what I can see in this front pack. I am seeing it looks like Athletic here with Nicholas Ambrald, Roman Campestros, Sebastian Hayvot is still in there as well. Pierre Almeida is still in here. So they've got 4 riders, perhaps just not sniping too many points up front and waiting a little bit to the second half of the race. They may be thinking about the second half of the race and some of the points that are on grabs for it, as well as the final sprint across the line. We did see that play out very well, obviously, yesterday for Next Esports presented by Insured. A lot of patience coming from them, as well as from the Canyon Esports team. They did go 1-2, and we saw both of those teams not really pressing the pace too much early on. Go ahead and jump back in with the ladies as they do take down their final sprint of the day. And Moomin Passio now again on the attack. Our reigning world champion makes the move. It looks like 8.4 with her teammate Courtney Webb. The two of them have been taking a lot of these points on the back end of the race as the legs are getting softened up with 31.4K in as they hit the pylon. Moomin Passio with that arrow power up, going to grab a whole lot of points. It looks like Webb looking to come on through. I think Pastu's going to hold on to it. SZ going to, with Runfish, going to have to settle. Betty Squad Racing, great to see this solo effort here from the Betty Squad. This rider has just been absolutely amazing. Ashley Green continuing to be a force, even though she has been isolated by these other teams. Edzed Bro also with Daniel Truon. Also, putting her stamp on this, saying, I'm not going anywhere, regardless of how many other riders are around me on the attack. Daniel Truon, level 30 Zwifter. Danielle, coming out of New Zealand. Early morning racing for her. If she is actually racing out of New Zealand, it's a very early morning race for that NZ Bro. Looks like she actually jumped on the platform during 2020, actually, right as the pandemic picked up there. Back in April of 2020. And this is her first go, though, it looks like, at the Zwift Racing League. And that's the only races she's actually done, and as well as the WTRL team time trial, actually, back on September 23rd. So she is, this NZ Bro rider, True One, is a perfect example of a rider getting involved at the community level and completely taking it on and getting committed to it. Very cool to see, as well as practicing up with the WTRL events. Now Webb here saying enough is enough. Time to stop messing around amongst the pack, and kicks right off into 6 watts per kilogram. Going off the front. This is going to be a bottom to top climb most likely, and if anybody can do it, it would be Webb or Moomin Passio, and it looks like Webb's going to be the one for Roca Corba. If they do bring this back, I think Passio will just go right over the top with a counterattack. The men's race here, we'll jump back in with them in just a moment, as there's definitely some attacks going free here at this point. And our buddy Dave in chat was right. We are seeing a pattern here. And over the top with these sprint sections, we are seeing how these splits are playing out for sure. All coming back together, it looks like here. Going into lap number 3. Human, though, unable to hang on. SRT with Wood and that drafting power-up, also unable to hang on. Backpedal losing Newman. It does look like Nichols just barely able to get back on terms here, it looks like. And that is going to be with let's go and see if I can find these standings here again real quick, because getting an idea of who lifting gear products and cycles in motion is going to be that level 20 kit with the pink kit. Just as a heads up, everybody, if you're looking to see who these kits are and what who they're representing, to give you an idea. Athletic is going to be in that. Is that actually a kit like of their own? That's going to be my question. VCRT in the free speed kit. Is that the lava kit that Atletica is using? I'm going to try and get an idea on that. As I believe it's got the lava on the back. ATL. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on there. With Almeida moving backwards here is going to give us a good shot of what that looks like. We'll see what the points are in just a moment here, because I have a feeling that Athletic definitely were holding off early on, and next thing we know, we're going to see them up toward the top end of the sprint points here in just a moment. As we look through, maybe I'm absolutely incorrect though. These still need an update as we head into lap number 3. So as we're waiting for that update on these points, we'll get a better idea of where things are standing. Let's jump back in with the women's situation. Webb here with 73, Trewant with 64, Cameron there for the Bristol Flyers. See, and this is why, and now Moomin Pasio wasn't waiting for her to come back for a counterattack. And it looks like she said, enough is enough. I'm going across. 15 seconds. It's like, okay, so I went away to just look at that sprint for a moment, everyone, and Moomin Pasio shut down a 15-second gap like it was nothing. And I'm going to see if I can find the replay of what just happened there, because, like, they were off screen for just a moment, and next thing you know, Moomin Pasio is just there. So let's see if I can see what happened, how it happened, and what kind of watts per kilogram she threw down to get there, because there was like 10 to 15 seconds that just disappeared between her and Courtney Webb. Like it was nothing. I'll just roll across this 15-second gap where my teammate's doing 6 watts per kilogram like it's not even a thing. What an amazing athlete. Really cool to see the kind of efforts that she can throw down, obviously. And how she has earned. And that's exactly her kind of forte. I mean, the place that she did earn that kit is on one of the steepest and most solid climbs that we do have. Very short and punchy, obviously, with the Watopia Hilly forward climb that she did win that World Championship kit on. So Thompson here and the rest, I think, they're looking to settle for that minor placings, 3rd and below, because the reality is this is what they did last week. Moon Pastio, Courtney Webb said enough is enough. We want the rest of the points for first to cross the line. They just walked away from everybody as they head into this fishing village. There's not a whole lot of kilometers left to go. You can almost see the next sprint banner in the distance as well, as they're going to head through the forest here for just a moment. That'll be the downhill, the roll of the line. We are not going to have a sprint finish anyone without anything majorly happening out here today. Moon Pastor is going to be leading out her Roca Corba team with Courtney Webb in tow. 73 points. Pastor with 29. And this was a good move by them because Bristol Flyers with Cameron and Pearson were a threat out there today. If they were able to grab any more points through those sprint sections. So this break is a perfect way to make sure that is not happening, because I think Bristol Flyers could have perhaps won the day if they took down these last couple of sprint points. But that looks like it's not going to be happening. Solid kicks here. Back in with the men's racing in just a moment. They're on their final lap. I'm going to go ahead and show this for just a second here as they do head out into their final lap out here today. They're going to be having the 2 sprint points, as you can see up ahead of them in the upper right-hand corner for the intermediates, and then the downhill insanity. It has been each and every time we've watched it. It is all about that final little bridge sprint, I think. Everybody predicting that is going to be the moment out there today that riders are going to make those kicks to the line. Now jumping on in, let's see where things are at with chat. Debbie in shape, it's good to see that you're going to be out there racing with us. We do wish you luck. We'll be watching for you over in the women's race out there today. Appreciate you as always over at the Twitch chat. Jerry, good to see you. Yes, it is Solo Nathan out here today. Appreciate you as always, Jerry Delport as well. Real quick, let me see if we can bring in our man. I don't know if Martin's been hanging out here this entire time with us. Might be able to help out a little bit. Martin, are you with us here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, good to see you. Good to hear. Martin, any awesomeness on the stats out here today? How are things playing out when it comes to the amount of racers and riders that we've got participating so far in the Zwift Racing League? For some of our viewers that are newer out here today, they might not have an idea. The first week we saw, I think it was well over 10,000 that have jumped in to the Zwift Racing League across so many different teams. This is week in and week out, some of the largest racing that we have. And now you've also announced on top of that, you guys are helping to manage the World Championship qualifiers.
Yeah, we've got an element of the continental qualifiers that we're dealing with. That's the open qualifiers. That's the one that's open to the entire Zwift community. The only kind of eligibility requirement, so you need to be an A rider, as is understood. That's an FTP above 4 watts per kilo in the world of Zwift. So we'll be running those over 2 weekends, starting in about a month's time. And the people that qualify from that, your finishing position doesn't matter. The people that qualify from that will then go on to the full qualification, which will essentially be against Premier Division riders. And the winners there then go on to the UCI World Championships eSport in February.
So if you are looking to get involved in the World Championships, you can do so by jumping into those races later in. It's all happening in November. Head on over to WTRL.racing. That announcement just went out. It's over on the Facebook groups as well. If you are looking to get involved, you can essentially it's to check who the A riders are, whether or not you are an A rider in those first initial qualifiers, pre-qualifiers, and then the actual qualifiers. They're going to have broadcast across all of them over on Zwift Live. 5 different broadcasts for each of the regions. All the information is over on WTRL.racing. You want to get involved, and as you can see, Moving Passio wearing the World Champion kit. What better time to have a little conversation about how you can get involved in racing the World Championships, as she's about to roll across the line and show us how it's done in the Zwift Racing League. Pretty awesome to see, Martin. Pretty cool to see the World Champion showing up in the community, Martin, right? And racing amongst them and bringing this team of hers up through the community racing.
Oh, definitely. And it wasn't that long ago. I'm pretty sure I was watching Mormon Passio on the TV at the Olympics as well. So yeah, it's awesome to see. Obviously, there's lots of Olympians, world champions, Grand Tour riders, rowers, athletes, you name it, you'll find them somewhere on Zwift at some point. They all seem to be here, which is brilliant to see.
Absolutely awesome to see. Really cool and honored to have them here. Courtney's going to give a little kick here, though, with that arrow power up. Moving Passio coming on through for second from behind her teammate. These are for the minor placings here. Right to the line. NZ Bro, Betty Squad, NZ Bro, it looks like, is the one that's going to be making it happen. So that is the race. We're going to jump right on over. We'll jump in with the results here in just a moment, but the women's next race just about to take off, 4:35, as you can see. So we'll be jumping in with the West here. But this is the conversation in the men's race. As they make their way around course now, they're halfway up their final climb, as you can see here, Campos as well as Almeida, and they are trying to make their moves. And this is what Athletic, I think, was on about with trying to maybe reserve for these moments. They're trying, or perhaps they're on the back foot a little bit here. That may be what's actually going on, because they have not collected a whole lot of points and maybe struggling on the day to grab points out here today. We're thinking about the standings. They're currently the leaders out here, but if you look at the situation, they are not the leaders even closely with the points out here. With Campos only, there were 25 points. Applewhite there coming in from the backpedal team at 76 has got better points than all of Athletic combined here at this point. Go there from WLC stacking the top 10 with Muehlner's as well as Cope, and then it's going to be Co. I mean, this is a very dangerous moment for Athletic. They've got so many bodies up here, but they have not been able to capitalize on getting them involved in the race at the front here. Pushing on 6.7. Now it is on, though, between Chain Gang, now keeping the pace high enough. WLC as well. And Emblard here now at this point is, here at this point is just following the wheels, not wanting to close it down to his teammates here. Stempel there as well. I mean, they're kind of in this tough spot, because now if they do make any attacks to go across, riders are going to start jumping across to them. Can they just make the race hard enough that they can stack the front end of these final intermediates is going to be the question, or they're going to be giving up that top spot, currently sitting at 40 points total for Athletic. It is for the men's side of things and these standings. Is Gran Fondo Team BE, though, even involved? I didn't see them very much in those sprint preems. Wahoo Loco, I think, on the day have the most to gain, it looks like, amongst all of the riders out here right now. As Wahoo Loco, as you can see in those standings, sitting in a solid first place, I think, at this point. Gran Fondo also there with that 46 and that 13 there for Bayan, but they're going to need a lot more points on the board to win on the day. I think Wahoo Loco really set up nicely to win on the day, and if we do look at the standings, they are going to jump up a little bit. Athletic have really secured a solid spot, though, at the top. With where they're going to finish on the day, though, I'm not sure that maybe 15, 14, they might not be in the top 5 with where things are standing at this point. So they're going to have to really bump things up. 11 seconds off the front. I'm not sure that this is going to hold on to it to the line either. They're keeping them within striking distance. Now, we did see Mulan Pasio as well as Courtney Webb off the front. They gained almost 20 seconds, maybe a little more than that, as they made their way over the top, and then they were able to hold on to just over 10 seconds, I think it was, across the line. So even amongst the ladies, things came back very quickly on that downhill section. They're going to need a lot more than 13 seconds with the way that this pack is going to come flying up on the sprint section, and then the second sprint section onto the downhill. Athletics still have a lot of work cut out for them at this point in order to try and hold on to that top spot. Again, a top 5 still available for them, but they need some points on the back end of this race right now in this men's mixed central race. We've still got plenty of racing to go here for the women's. We've also got the men's West coming up, race after race after race. In just a moment, you're most likely going to see the warning here coming on up for 15 minutes to go for the next men's race. The women are about to get out on course here. 36 seconds to start for the West, and this has got some of the strongest in it amongst them here. We're talking socks for Watts out here today amongst the women on this Mercury Islands Flatland Loop. 20 seconds to go. Jimmer Sargent, Janice Despas, Rachel Elliott is out here. Rhea Mobbs, that Socks for Watts team is ready to go. Aeonian with their community team out there with Kristen Yax, Ellie Sykes. We're seeing Andrea and Heinrich. Be on the watch out for them and the rest of their team. BBB is out here as well. Draft. I Race Like a Girl with Annie Poland, most likely streaming live at this point. Make sure to go check out Clickbait Racing over on Twitch. They've been absolutely killing it. Caleb Carley and Annie Poland there. One of our main Twitch community streamers actually as of recently. So I Race Like a Girl's got Liz Shoup, Lenny Ramsey, Kate Ligler, Annie Poland. As Tamara Juliet. It's going to be No Pins R3Rs out there. Ralpha RCC. Rose Beast Motor showing up here in this A category. The list goes on and on. Wahoo Lacole. This is absolutely stacked. Really exciting racing taking off here amongst the ladies. We'll let them finish out their first few kilometers as they get out on course, because the men are just about to hit the peak point of their climb with these 2 off the front, and they've kept it within 13 seconds now at this point. And I'm loving what I just saw here from Amblard. He was holding the rest of the pack up at 3 watts per kilogram on the front. Now Stempo now kicks to 6. Is he going to back off? Yes, trying to slow them down, as you can see. May not be working out, and they just continue to just soft pedal at the front. The best thing that they could possibly do is just go ahead and try and slow this down. VCRT says, no, we're heading to the front. Keep it fast. 27 miles per hour, 29 miles per hour here now at the top here. Campus Trust now and the rest trying to hold this off. This is going to be everything for the win. They've almost got 15 seconds. They've really got to punch this through, though. I have a feeling it's going to come down to 5, and if it does come down to 5 seconds after this sprint, they will not be holding on. Hamlet now, 9.2. This is a lot of points, though, for first across the line. This is solid going 1-2. For Athletic. This is going to put them back in the conversation for this points race out here today. Here comes GFTB, though, from Belgium on the attack to try and take down that 3rd place. They go 1-2 now for Almeida and Campustross now. Van Lytham, though, here, huge gap. No one's going to even come close to touching him. Hamlet's going to hold on. No, backpedal perhaps coming on through, always with that solid kick he seems to have across the line. Now the question is, will they hold on to these seconds? Down to 6, down to 7. The roll through, are they going to call him right on down? Ramahu's now here. What is going on? Looking to go across, perhaps. 13 watts per kilogram coming from this rider. Absolutely flying at 38. Looking to try and break this. This is not going to stick, though. These riders are going to come rolling right up on them. Campstrasse now. These, interesting enough, it looks like they've maybe given up the ghost here at this point. Said enough is enough. They know that this is just not enough landscape to work with. Ramajo now looking to go across, but that's just not going to be in his favor. 185 beats per minute here coming from the athletic team. They did grab the points across that intermediate sprint. The question is, what are they going to do across the line? It's España now. This may actually get picked up on sticky. I mean, that 130, 140, I mean, kind of all over the place on the RPM. So we're going to most likely see something. And he might not even hold on, actually, with the reality of the way this pack is going to come flying on through. Athletic, though, on the front, set up really well for their other riders here. After taking those intermediate sprints, actually, this may be a solid section finish for them, actually, because they go 1-2 across that intermediate. Will they go 1-2 here across the final? The timing's going to be all about that bridge sprint. The rider there from Zia España now thinking that he could get away. It's just not going to happen. Backpedal's had a pretty solid go at all this. Hamlet, though, going really early, not going to be able to make this happen. Backpedal's got 18 watts per kilogram, it looks like. Going to try and hold on. He's going to maybe do it. VCRT just pulls it off. VCRT followed by Van Lytham. Where is Athletic? Havoc was there. He's going to settle for 4th or 5th across the line. So no go, it looks like, here for Athletic across that final finish line. I think we're going to have a little bit of a change up, actually, in the overall standings because of the reality of those sprints on the day. Let's go ahead and jump back in with the ladies. We'll look at the results here in just a moment for that men's race. The women for the Central just finished up. We'll take a look at their results in just a second as these ladies for West get out on course. We just did watch Central as well for the men's. So both of those results tables we'll be bringing up for you in just a second as they do get resolved. Women's Central. It was Courtney Webb. Finishing in 55 minutes with a solid 4.5 watts per kilogram. I mean, absolutely flying out there today. And that gives you a good idea of this is going to give you a great idea of the talent level that Roca Corba is showing up with out here. It's absolutely really impressive. We talk about riders who are coming in from Olympic and World Championship levels. As we do take a look here at this. It's going to be Courtney Webb at the top there. Beating out her teammate as they rolled into the line together, though. 4.5 watt per kilogram average there for Courtney Webb. Followed up by Ashley Moving-Pasio 1 second back. Danielle Truon, though, for that NZ Bro there for Aragorn. Solid. Betty Squad there. 2 riders who were completely solo, actually, throughout the race there. Nice job to them. It's the Fast Bergland there coming on through. In for 5th. Jules Cass with Roca Cobra and a British flag right across the name there for some reason. Amanda Argue there for Coalition Synergy. It's going to Luis Rundquist. Agata Fliss and then Maria Thompson. Ali Cameron there. I think that's going to be for 11th across the line. So that was the situation there for the top 11. Now in the B category there, ZRG R Rob. Is that going to be Bob? RBO8, excuse me, coming on through. Let's go ahead. We're going to jump back in with the racing there with the women. They're about to hit their first sprint point, and we'll take a look at the rest of the results there for the men's race that we just watched. As we do not want to miss a single one of these action points, and this is some of the best that we can out there amongst the women. This EMEA. I mean, Lou Bates, R3R, no pins. I mean, this is as good as it gets. She was a part of the Premier Division in the past here, and now on the attack for R3R, no pins. Now across, though, comes Vanderblas. Going to hold on just ahead of Arthur from WLC. Bates settling for 3rd. I think we've got a conversation out here, everybody. It's going to be R3R and WLC on the day going head-to-head. Aeonian looking to stay involved, though, as well. Where are socks for Watts is going to be my question. Aeonian now coming as it looks like Sammy Stewart's going to hang on to try and make this lead group. Rose Beast Mode not even involved at all in that first sprint, but again, only the first sprint on the day. Now a little bit of an arrow power up. Is that going to be a counterattack here coming from the cryogen rider? Hayes, now 4.0 watts per kilogram here. Langham now trying to cover. It looks like Sox Watts there with Rachel Elliott saying, this is my moment to shine, knowing maybe perhaps that the sprints do not matter for her. It's going to be cryogen Stelvio and Rachel Elliott on the front, on the attack. Some of the best racing I think we're going to see all day long coming out of this Women's West, as Elliott heads immediately to the front and says, this is how this is done. Old school racing out on Zwift, and it just continues on at 5.0, completely splintering the pack. I just saw a name out there, though. Maud LaRue is in the house today, riding for Wahoo Lacole, the rider who has really been the steam engine of their team time trial. So, Maud here sitting in about mid-pack here. Rachel Elliott may have a little bit more challenge out here today to break this pack, but she's still making it hard. It is strung out at this point. They thought they were going to just grab back onto the wheel and then find a rhythm, but no, she is not allowing any rhythm or melody to the pedal strokes at this point as she continues on her rhythm. And it looks like it's nothing but discord behind, though. And Bates gets back on. Now Cryogen coming over the top. Elliott now backs off to 3.1 and allows another rider to take over at 37 kilometers per hour. Solid racing so far as we can see amongst these ladies, and they are not backing off. So awesome to see, as always. 5 minutes to the start of the Men's West Division 1 as well. The racing just doesn't stop, and we've got a stacked field there with WLC, TBR, SGAB is in there, Veritas is in there as well, Electric Spirit Co., MTC Gritters. This is going to be a stacked field in the West, so we'll definitely be jumping in with them in just a moment. And back to back racing. We barely even able to get into the results as well, everybody. We'll jump back on in for what we just saw in the men's racing in just a moment. It's going to be super interesting to see how that played out, as well as, the question there with Athletic is one that I really do want answered, because it looked like they put a lot of work in to try and salvage something at the end of the day. But I'm not sure that they were able to do so in that central race. So just look to see if we can bring up these results here for that men's central Div 1 EMEA. And as the ladies make their way around on course here, Rachel just continues. I have a feeling this is going to be Rachel's forte, or at least her go-to today, is just to make it as hard as she possibly can on this uphill. The kind of athlete she is, I think, as well as where she's at in her racing career at this point, it's going to just be all about that engine that she has to just completely demolish this pack as best as she possibly can, while the rest of Sox Watts sit in and follow wheels and just watch her put the work in and make sure that the rest of the pack is absolutely suffering. So as they do make their way up to the top of this climb, this is the situation. It does look like we've got about probably 40 some riders that have made this front group. A pretty significant split at the back at this point because of those initial attacks over the top of the climb. We did see, it looked like Vanderplas here, who was apart from the No Pins R3R riders, who I believe did take the fastest through segment. We'll take a look at those points, but their job is done. 15, 16 seconds at this point. They're absolutely gone, as Rose Beast Mode with Wagner and Herring just look to hang on to the pace that's being set by Sox Watts at the front. Back in, though, with the results, this is what happened in the men's racing. It was at the front. Tony Applegate able to take that down. 10th of a second ahead of the VCRT Dobermans. And it is going to be Philip Van Leith there for the Grand Fondo Team BE and Thomas Bayan there for Grand Fondo Team. That's a solid result for them because they were in the standings sitting, I believe, in second place the last time I checked. So, yeah, they were in second place. We'll see if we can get an update on the standings here as they did come through, because Athletic, only with Sebastian Havitt there in that top 7, sitting in 7th place. Hamlet there, Wahoo Lacole was in 6th. Mike Debney, Thomas Bayan also for that Grand Fondo. And 8th place is going to be Alexandra Dar Co. They're coming on through. And he was actually in there for some of the top points before across the line, so good to see. And then Wahoo Loko with Fred Richards in for 9th. These final points across that last finish line, though, maybe switching things up a little bit. I think Wahoo Loko were able to get enough in this top 10, though, to most likely secure the day ahead of any of these other teams. As Athletic are nowhere to be seen besides Havat. Now, they did grab a couple of those points, though, across the final finish, the final intermediate sprints. So perhaps that was able to salvage something for them, as we were saying. So that's the situation in with these A's for the men. Let's jump back in with the ladies racing, though, as they make their way around for their first time out on the climb out on course here, as we're in with the TFC Vixen team. 4 watts per kilogram here coming from M. Gore. Sole rider, though, for Vixen that has made this league group. Going to be a tough day for Vixen to grab on as far as grabbing the points out here. I am seeing a very well-represented Rose Beast mode, and perhaps they were just kind of following wheels a little bit for the early sprints, not looking to get too involved, allowing No Pins R3R and Sox for Watts to kind of show their cards a little bit more, as I do know Rose Beast mode, a very well-oiled machine when it comes to racing out on Zwift. Rich Elliott continues to do what H. Elliott does. And then Gore now with a little bit of a feather power up as they make their way over the top of the final little ascents of this climb. Heading through the forest now. You'll be able to see the village off in the distance in the mini map here in just a moment. But Rachel Elliott says enough is enough. We're not going to be sprinting for these intermediate points. 7 watts per kilogram real quickly here, 49 kilometers per hour. She does get the gap out to 12. It continues to go out by the meters. It's always a nice sign to see at the bottom of the screen as you watch the meters rise quickly. If they do not rise quickly, a lot of times it can get a little bit frustrating. 7 watts per kilogram again, 41 kilometers per hour. Bates now to the front, trying to make sure this doesn't get out too far, but Lou Bates is most definitely one of the sprinters, though, for that team. The cover here now coming from Stelvio, not wanting to let Elliott get too far away. And as you can see, the lead out here is going to most likely be for Krogarger and the rest of LaRue there from Wahoo Lacole. Here come. Who is Shuit riding for here? This is going to be Sisu I Race Like a Girl team now with Ligler looking to set up. Rich Elliott is going to be caught. It may have put a little bit of sting in the legs for some of the other teams, though. Maud LaRue now. Here comes LaRue for WLC, 6.3 watts per kilogram. She's more of an FTP rider, though, as Bates now, 8.1. She put in a lot of work to get in this position, though. Langham there coming from WLC over the top. Arthur also. Big watts from these ladies here. Arthur takes it like it's nothing. It's going to be Chrome rounding out the top 3. Arthur, Langham, then Rose Beast mode. Our No Pins R3R. Bates settles for 4th, it looked like, across the line. So that's the situation with the really well placed tactical riders. Maud LaRue now comes over the top at 444 watts per kilogram, making sure that the speeds are high enough to really cause a split. Very well done here. This is an amazing tactical ride here from WLC. I want to know who the DS is in their ears, because they just made that sprint as fast as they possibly could. Maud hung on with the rest of WLC, knew exactly what was going to happen there, and she came through with a solid FTP, even VO2 effort quickly there to keep the speed up. She may have even used a power up. Immediately opens up another gap to the rest of the crew here. And we've got some of the biggest names in Zwift esports from the community off the back now. Despas from Sox for Watts struggling. They're scrambling now to bring this back now. Jewett is here now from I Race Like a Girl. The Onion, Kate Yaks. Gore from TFC Vixen. Rachel Elliott is off the back here at this point. This is no joke racing, as you can see. Now we can see BBB here with Ross looking to go across here. Coming out of Scotland here, she's got that arrow power, brings it within 2 seconds. She's going to need the rest of the pack, though, with that avalanching speed to bring this back. I think it will come back, but lots of matches being burned. Despa sees that this is a desperate situation. Going to use that. Jane now coming across with that arrow power up as well on the Tron bike. The spin into win now. 157 beats per minute. 2 seconds is the difference. Now they are going to be, if they bring this back, the attention to detail over the top because Wahoo Lacole have brought everybody to school. The chalkboard is out. The writing's on the wall. And I'm serious. Watch out for Wahoo Lacole and this ladies team. They are so well organized, extremely impressive. They have brought the watt bombs at this point. We saw them in the sprint. Then they've got Leroux with the counter. The speeds are high. She continues to press on, the South African, at 183 beats per minute right now, demolishing this race. Wahoo Lacole are here to stay, that's for sure, amongst the ladies, and they are making a statement. Watch out, Premier Division. Because this isn't just about big watts and just walking away. This is about awesome tactics and a team tactic I have not seen played out yet in this week this well amongst the community or even amongst Premier Division. I would say that this is one of the best tactics I've seen. And actually, they have put together the perfect squad because you could see the way that they came over the top with that sprint, 2 sprint points taken down, 1-2. And then on top of that, they've got this other side of their team that can come right on through and keep this speed high. The ruler that can just make sure that the speed is as high as it possibly can be, big watts all the way through. Doesn't necessarily throw down the watt bombs, knows exactly what her role is, and that is to make sure the speeds are high when they need to be. That's what Maud is up to right now. The rest of the teams, I think, just got a good kick in the teeth and are wondering what happened. A little bit of a stun with a 1-2 in the corner of the boxing ring, are saying, okay, how are we going to come back from this at this point? Rose Beast Mode, they've been covering and killing, though, and I'd be watching out for them. They've got 4 riders here. A lot of excitement around Wahoo Lacole, but Rose Beast Mode keeping it quiet with still 2 laps to go. Be on the watch out for them, perhaps on the back end of this as they watch the matches being burned. Also, Seesaw Race Like a Girl, I think, have been fairly quiet and have plenty of firepower in here as well. Wahoo Lacole, amazing first lap. Now they need to capitalize on what they have done, though, to this race and the damage that's been done to the rest of the teams. We do see the catch is going to be made. Matches burnt. How many matches are left in the books of the rest of these riders, though, as they had to work extremely hard just to get back on terms before they're going to hit this first intermediate sprint point out on lap 2. Awesome racing we're seeing so far here in amongst the ladies. The men are just taking off out on course for the West. They're about halfway toward their first sprint point as well. And this is going to be some awesome racing in amongst the boys. We've got some big names. Veritas is going to be one that I'll be watching out for because I do know that they have their eyes on the Premier Division. And they're looking for a race of truth out here for sure. It's going to be PTZ as well with Lemos. This is going to be the men's Division 1A that we are looking at as well. And, you know, something I am noticing as well is WLC are everywhere. Like, you just can't get away from this team. They are putting teams everywhere in every single one of these divisions. Absolutely awesome to see how committed this team is to stacking fields across the board here, actually. In and amongst the Zwift Racing League. Really, really cool to see. Let's see if we can start bringing up some of the point situations here, though, for the ladies, as well as the men as they come through their first time through. It does look like for the women in the EMEA division, I'm not sure we have any sprint point preems up just as of yet. We'll see. We'll wait for a couple of minutes and see if they do come on through for us. As they've made their way around for 1 lap so far. The men just about to hit their first time through. We've seen these really interesting early power-ups, actually. Maybe more as lead-outs for the rest of the crews here, now up in the 7.5, or maybe just getting a little bit anxious. Here comes Veritas here with Calcutta. It's going to be 12 watts per kilogram now being thrown out by Nelson Pinto. Veritas here is going to be in this dark, really dark bluish gray. It looks like coming through the pylon. I'd be watching for 5th wheel here at this point. Here comes Kern from CLS. Is he going to get it at the line? Maybe. Veritas were right there as well. I'm going to take a look at that replay because that was right to the line there between the riders as they made their way around for this first sprint point. If we back it up just a tad in reverse, you can see this is also a lot of times a great learning lesson for those that are maybe going to be racing later in the Americas. that these early kicks usually aren't able to hold on to it here. Calcado Pinto there, 13 watts per kilogram. CLS coming on through. You can see he's in that about fifth wheel. And with a drafting power-up, which is interesting enough, not even an aero power-up, so you can see how much the draft really does matter. Brante is on the wheel, coming through with more speed, actually, at 12 watts per kilogram. I think Kern just barely able to hang on to it, though. Brante is coming on through for second, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see, though, what back-end API has to say about that for those sprint points. Jumping back in, this is the damage that'll be done with the counters through the climb as they head immediately into a 6% gradient or so. To make our way to the front, though, there is a little bit of attack, it looks like, and a gap actually going out to Magales from the Bike Zone Veritas. 4 seconds, actually, and this is 4 seconds this early is a fairly serious gap at this point. 6.4 watts per kilogram. As you can see, Werner here from the AHDR team now just trying to keep things under wraps. Interesting enough as you see as he drags the rest of the pack along with him. It's not over 50 meters. That's always kind of my markers, whether or not it's outside of the 50-meter point. Let's go ahead and jump back in with the ladies, though. They're about to hit their second time through the sprint. And as they do, Cicero race like a girl on the front. Going to be Ligler leading things out, 5.7, 6.0. And nobody really opening this up very early, which is good to see. The timing's pretty good. Now this is the moment to go, though. Here comes Herring from Rose Beast Mode. Arthur again from WLC. Huge watts coming from this rider right now. Her teammate right on the wheel. I believe Langham may come over the top. No, unable to do so. Rose Beast Mode with Herring again taking down Rue there for fourth. Wahoo Cole, it looks like, are just unstoppable today as they take 1, 2, and 4. Rose Beast Mode settling there for that third place with Herring. A little bit of a gap again opening up. I think this is going to come back together fairly easily. Jane Despa suffering, though, off the back here with an aero power-up being used. That says a lot as they're usually used through the sprint sections, but that's just to get back on terms, it looks like, as the race is going up the road. And the points just starting to come on through. Let's see how this is playing out for the women's situation. Arthur, Langham, WLC, domination. Rose Beast Mode there with Chrome at 38. It's going to be Vanderplas there for 20. She's off the back, but she did her work there for fastest through segment, as well as first across the line for 10 and 10 and 20 points, holding down for the No Pins R3R team, but no longer involved at the front end of the race. Airing there for Rose Beast Mode's got that 20 points as they start their second lap out on course there. LaRue, solid 9 and 9. Now, Maud LaRue here is just a setup, I think, a lot of times, keeping things difficult enough that the other riders can't just relax. We might also see a breakaway situation, though, from LaRue. I would not be surprised one bit. She's definitely one of these riders that could pull off what we saw similar to Courtney Webb and Pastio on a last lap attack. Bates is there as well. Also a very strong puncher, but a rider who's got a good FTP that can go with just about any move. So if she is able to make those moves, watch out for her for a punch in the end if it does get down to a very whittled down group. Lou Bates, kind of a jack of all trades kind of situation. So Gutsky there, followed up by Stockley and then O'Neill. That's the situation currently for the points in this EMEA West Division 1A for the women's. Again, the who's who amongst the Europeans. And Wahoo Lacole again, complete domination so far, over 100 points actually on the day at this moment. Let's go ahead and see how chat's doing. Been a little while since we've said hello and interacted with anything coming on through. V-Win say, go I Race Like a Girl, coming in from Nancy. It looks like I Race Like a Girl with a whole lot of fandom hanging out in the chat. Amanda Wendorf also in here. C-Star Ace Girl minus their Ace Curie, but represented well in the front pack with 100% Wendorf. Good to see Amanda hanging out in the chat as always. Ben Griffin saying Adam Thope, PL rider for WLC, is the DS for WLC. Thanks, Bryn. That's a really great insight actually as to where some of this is coming through. Brutally good teamwork there for WLC. Chris is Stars letting us know over at Twitch chat. Yes, 100% seeing some of the best teamwork And when it comes to being a good DS, I do have to call that out, that it really is about timing a lot of times. You can write a tactic up, but if you don't get the timing right always, sometimes things just do not end up working out real well because the speeds, the time gaps, there's so much going on moment to moment. If you got to hit it just right. And the thing that I saw that was so impressive was the perfect timing with a lot of those tactics being played out. You can have all the tactics in the world, but if you miss a few meters, nothing happens from them. So solid efforts so far that we've seen here from WLC to make this some very interesting and difficult racing out here today. The men's race is just about to finish up their first lap. They're about to hit their second intermediate sprint point out there today. As we jump back in with them, Veritas has been caught with that bike zone rider, unable to stay away so far. So as they make their way up toward the second intermediate sprint point, doesn't look like Bike Zone's going to be off the front and holding off the rest of the riders. We do have the men's preems just coming in here quickly as they made their way around course. And that is going to be currently led out, it looks like, by our Beatty, actually. And I'm not sure what team that's riding for. We don't have an image there on Beatty. I'll see if I can check it out over on Zwift Power here real quickly. As Beatty made his way around the course, it looks like for the fastest through segment. Not sure that he's actually held on to the pack, though, at this point. I'll double check and see if he is in and amongst the lead group still. Not sure that we are seeing Beatty even in and amongst the lead group still. So Johansson, though, and now we are about to open up the sprint. We'll take a look at some more of these points in just a second here, as they need to collect a few more for us. And at the front, is that going to be Turner? Yeah, Neil Turner here. Solid kick, but Abrante is going to come over the top. Veritas just continues to show us they do have a true sprint. Johannes there, I think, settling for third or fourth, but Abrantes, again, Veritas, Calcata, the rest of them just continue to show us the strength of that Portuguese team. Looking back through the pack here, we're going to see if there are any stragglers unable to get back on terms. They need to grab a wheel immediately because now we're into the negative 3%. The Super Tucks are going to start, and that is the moment. If you are not on a wheel immediately, Beatty has made this. That's going to be Team Jet, actually, that he is riding for, as he has made this lead group. WLC here with Tarek, just barely maybe getting back on terms. Dunphy with a little bit of a kick there. Urban Peddler, he's going to be the glue, I think. The rest of these riders will get back on terms because of him. MJR needs a little bit more of a punch, not just this 5 watts per kilogram. And there it is, right back on terms. 3 Wahoo Lacole riders almost off the back. Seldernick now just barely. Tarek there as well. Tarek actually might be gone. I'm not sure that he is going to make this this group, as he's found himself off the back. 183 beats per minute, and it goes out very quickly, as you can see. Negative 3% and absolutely gone. So that's going to be the situation in the men's race currently with the points structure. Let's go ahead and jump back in with the ladies. They're just about to hit their second time up and over the top, heading into the village. There was a lot of effort being put in to bring this all back together with Yaks, as well as a few of the Aeonian riders. So we also saw Saksha Watts off the back, surprising enough. Rachel Elliott going to make her way to the front again. Maybe not quite as confident in attacking at this point with the tactics of Wahoo Lacole. They know that they've got Maud in here who can shut down just about anything. Essentially what this is Maud LaRue is the cover and kill, bring things back together, just completely able to keep anything that goes out within check. And then from there, set up each one of her sprinters for the perfect sprint situation. But Rose Beast Mode says enough is enough. And this is a serious move here from Rose Beachmode with Herring and Rachel Elliott. Freibel's going as well. Langham says, okay, time to move. WLC looking to make the covers here. And with 2 off the front, they start working together. And this could be a danger move, actually. They've got the sprint section in sight. What they don't want, and this is what's happening here, is what they don't want is those sprinters to be on the wheels at this point. They want to win this outright with a gap rather than come to the line with a big kick. And this may work out for them, but no, Maud LaRue just shuts it right on down for Rose Beast Mode's riders here. Will they be able to come over the top? Lou Bates now 8.6 watts per kilogram here. Did they put the other riders in too much of a back foot? I think they did. Lou Bates maybe going to catch them out. Where's the big watts from Langham and the rest? Arthur trying to come through, but it's too little, too late it looks like, and the upset is there. Bates followed up by Cryogen with Stelvio. Cryogen Stelvio rider, believe that was Hayes. Arthur and Langham have to settle for the minor placings here out here today. Still some solid points, but nice work by the other teams. It was Lou Bates, though. Rose Beast Mode looking to set their teammates up, but it was actually Lou Bates and Cryogen that got the better of the lead out from Rose Beast Mode, following the wheels there. What a smart move there from Lou Bates. What a cagey rider. Bates is just one of the best out there by far. Always enjoy to watch this rider make the moves. She's out there solo at this point for No Pins R3R, working her way through the pack, finding wheels. But now we can see Wahoo Lacole. They come over the top with the tack to say, all right, you're going to play games with us, Rose Beast Mode? We'll play the games as well. 3 off the front. And this is 3 chasing with Bates and Elliott now at this point. And then Beast Mode off the back now after that attack. Find themselves in a little bit of trouble here. Freibel doesn't have anything to give here at this point. 3.3. Where's the rest of Rose Beast Mode? And Arthur, Maud LaRue, Langham, they're going to have some of the strongest riders in the world of Zwift racing coming up onto the wheel with Bates, Hayes, and now it's going to be Rachel Elliott. If these riders want to work together, they will never be seen again in this race with 1 lap to go. Elliott goes to the front and just sets 5 watts per kilogram, starts working, and Rose Beast Mode are completely out of this race at this point. They have to sacrifice everything. Now, in order to just get back on terms, the Schumann here is at 5 watts per kilogram and 185 beats per minute. Rolling through, here comes Herring. It was an amazing tactic, but they ended up just feeding points to Bates and Cryogen. And then, on top of it, WLC countered the attack and say, you want to play games? We can play that game. And they go ahead and blow the race apart with this shotgun of an attack over the top. WLC continue to show us that they've got the superiority in watts and tactic on the day. What a race here in this women's. That is not the point. We said it at the beginning, some of the best, and now it's also some of the best racing and tactics that we've seen throughout the world of community racing in the Zwift Racing League. On Mercury Island, Flatland Loop, Arthur, LaRue now working together. We see the power-ups being used. They're looking for the arrow. They don't want the feather or the draft. They want the speed. And now it's going to be 3 up front for WLC. No Pins R3R represented with Lou Bates there with 1 rider. Rachel Elliott from Socks for Watts still in here looking to salvage something, it looks like, for Socks for Watts on the day. And then Cryogen still represented with the rider coming out of Wales. That's going to be Hayes in for the ladies' side of things. Amazing racing out here. Now it's going to be 4 seconds here. Rose Beast Mode need to get into team time trial mode if they want to bring anything back. But essentially, they're just working for the other Cryogen ladies out here because Cryogen, they've got a rider up the road. And they know Lou Bates, and we said this. This is exactly what we said just 1 lap ago. If Lou Bates gets involved in a breakaway situation, she's got the watch. She's an all-around rider who can follow wheels. She's solo at this point, and she can most likely sprint with the best of them. Now, there's something new going on here, though, with the reality of Langham and Arthur. These are watts that are, we're talking, Premier Division level watts. I'm seeing these crazy sprints from Langham and Arthur. I thought Lou Bates was most likely the strongest sprinter amongst these ladies, but that might be getting a little bit of a wrench thrown in amongst it with the reality of what I'm seeing from these Wahoo Lacole riders. 12 watt per kilogram, 15 second there that we've seen from Maud LaRue, actually. Langham as well at 11. Bates has got an 11.3 as we look through. And I'm wondering on Arthur. I'm not seeing Arthur over on Zwift Power at the moment. Corel Arthur has got a solid 12. So they're all around a 1 watt per kilogram within striking distance of each other. Out of all of the riders, though, that are here, we saw what Lou Bates just did over the top of that climb. And as far as tactics goes and as far as experience goes, we're talking Rachel Elliott and Lou Bates in and amongst this crew. I think they're going to be the most experienced riders that we have out on course right now, if I'm not incorrect. I mean, Lou Bates, a level 50 Zwifter. I mean, you go to her Zwift Power profile, it's got 8 pages of races that just go on forever. She's done 393 races out on Zwift. Absolute insanity. Rachel Elliott, we've been commentating on her since there wasn't even events in game. So it doesn't get much more experienced than that. If we try and look, I mean, Sienna Hayes here from Cryogen, as a comparison to somebody I would also say is a fairly experienced racer, but it's half the races, 144 races out on Zwift, and actually just coming up into the A category. Good on her. This is a breakthrough ride, actually, for Sienna Hayes, and she's raced in a lot of B category races before. Huge ride for her. Rachel's letting us know that Rachel doesn't have a sprint, though, and well, then it's time to go up the road here, Rachel. With Maud and Rachel, now we're talking tactics live here at this point. As I don't know, I'm not sure if maybe there's a couple of little, you never know what they're saying to each other over the private chat too, because there is private chat in game, and riders can send direct messages to each other. So she may be responding to something there as well. But this is some of the best racing amongst the ladies. I love the show that they're putting on here out here today, as always, and absolutely great. Looking through as Zwift. Oh, all right. We got some questions about chat here. I'm loving this. Thanks a lot for all the questions. Are you guys going to cover the B races as well today? No go on that, especially being solo today at this point. Reese, good to see you hanging out. Solid race yesterday. Amazing job by Canyon. Just nipped there by 7 points. Now, yeah, I do see the dice roll comment coming in from you. That was for you, Nathan. I appreciate it, Rachel. Oh, man. Well, Rachel, always a pleasure. Now, Stelvio. No! Was there a dropout? Did I miss it? No, Sienna with an amazing ride so far. And for just a moment, we were looking at chat. I think Sienna Hayes must have had a dropout because right now she's got 7 watts per kilogram to give. And this is just too bad to see. What an amazing ride here coming from the Cryogen rider here out of Wales looking to come back. And I think she's just going to do it. But this is such a crazy amount of power having to be thrown down, and Langham now not trying to make it easy on her either. WLC is seeing the chink in the armor for Stelvio. And I mean, you can't blame them. As she's made this lead group, they want to continue to whittle it down. So here goes Arthur, 5-6 watts per kilogram. Oh my goodness. Talk about no quarter given. There is no mercy out here in this ladies race. Wahoo, Nicole, what are you doing? You know, this is one of those situations where you're like, Cryogen, like, we're going to remember this. WLC, okay, we see what you're doing. And, oh boy. And you know, Wahoo Cole might be like, bring it. Just bring it. We don't care. No mercy. And just keep on. It's like one of those situations in other esports where like somebody's winning like 50-4 kills and they just keep stacking them on until the match is finally over. Wahoo Cole, they were not waiting up. There was no mercy whatsoever. And Stelvio just goes right on by and Sienna says, okay. Langham now with a little bit of a kick. She's going to counter, it looks like, and come over the top. This is a good move, it looks like, by Langham. And now the drafting power is being used. No, this is actually for the sprint point, as we come on through for the first intermediate sprint on lap number 3. Arthur, Langham, they've been the Watt bomb so far, and they continue on. But Lou Bates, here it comes. We were talking about it earlier. But Bates isn't going to be able to make it happen, it looks like. But as the all-around rider she is, could she come over the top, continue on? Maud LaRue would have to do it solo, most likely, against her. Not going to happen. Looks like it's all going to go Grupo Compacto. And Bates here may be able to salvage a third against the 2 wattage rockets we've had so far that are Arthur and Langham from that WLC team. For Bates, it may just be all about that final kick to the line. She's got one of the best snaps we've ever seen in Zwift racing. Elliott's only chance at this point is to just make this race as hard as she possibly can and have Maud LaRue follow her and maybe go 1-2 to the line. But LaRue also has a solid sprint. Obviously, we've seen up to 12 watts per kilogram from her. So WLC seemed to really have this locked up. What is the key to that treasure chest to really try and unseat them from taking this down today? I'm not even sure it's possible on the sprint point so far, but maybe just for pride at this point. Great job to Sienna. That was an amazing close. Now, this isn't over. They start looking at each other. Rose Beast Mode are motivated. They've also picked up a few other riders that have come back, actually, as Ligler's in here. Jewett is in here as well. So, I mean, there's a solid group of women back here looking to try and bring things back. Can they work together, or are they just not interested? Ramsey makes her way to the front here, it looks like, for C-Swag Race Like a Girl. Despus is there as well. 4.8 watts per kilogram coming from the rider out of the Netherlands. Not out of sight. The chase is on. We'd have to see some sort of crazy watts, though, at this point, as Despus now makes her way with a little bit of crazy watts. 4.9 at the front, but Elliott says enough is enough. Here's my 5.1 watts per kilogram. Stick it and try and win it here. Bates now just hanging on. You know, if I were Lou Bates, I might even just let that go and force the others. I mean, why hang on to the wheel here at this point? Force the other riders. They've got the numbers. Same with, okay. Here we go. Here comes some orange numbers now. I mean, this is just the continue, just haymaker, haymaker, haymaker. Nobody is playing nice out here today. As we see Stelvio now back to the front. And that's going to be Sienna Hayes. 4.5, 80 RPMs, grinding this gear now at this point. Wahoo Cole continue to play it smart and follow. I think Wahoo Cole don't even care if that chase group comes back. They're so confident at this point. They might just be saying to the other riders, we'll dominate either way, and forcing these isolated riders to do a lot of work. Not the worst idea in the world, actually, to try and get the win out here today. Well, not the win, but just to tire everybody out. They've almost already solidified their win. Back in with the men quickly here as the ladies finish out their final lap. Veritas have been extremely dominant here in this men's race so far. And let's see if we do have a little bit of update. No updates on the men's at this moment when it comes to the preems. We'll get those up as quickly as we possibly can. We'll also see if we can bring in some of the standings to give you everybody an idea of where things are at for both the men's and the women's racing when it comes to the standings in this EMEA. But here comes the sprint. This is going to be Gerke here for SGAB here coming out of Germany in this blue and orange kit. Calcutta, Veritas now continues on with that drafting power up. Will he be able to hold on? It's not always the watts per kilogram that wins. We saw 14 watts per kilogram from Iowa from Jet there, but not going to happen. Calcutta takes another one down on the day. Over the top, Corbin, TBR. Split starting to happen. I think almost everybody's going to get back on terms, though. Looking backwards just a little bit, there was a big split somewhere in the field, it looks like, on that second lap. Only 26 riders making the lead group here at this point. Price there, as long as Rolf Southernick now from WLC trying to get back on terms. 176 beats per minute. Having to use an aero power up. That's a huge sacrifice, but worth it if he thought he was in a little bit of trouble. For the standings currently for the men's racing that we are watching. See if we can get an update on this. It does look like Veritas have been dominating not only the points on the day-to-day, but they've been kind of dominating so far in this race, in this division. EMEA West Division 1A, 40 points currently. It looks like at the top. Atletico Bildesdorf, their SG, They're currently sitting in second. Wahoo Cole, A3 in right now for third. TBR 52T. They're in for fourth right now. Jet Racing Team at 30 points, fifth. HDR Kate Crusaders, Team Electric Spirit, CO Jabberwock, seventh. R3R Dev Inexcess, MTC Grifters, and then London Phoenix. That's your top 10 situation right now for the men's field in this EMEA Division 1 for the West. A little bit of attack, actually. Veritas, not sure if they think there's sprint points there as they go past the trolley. I didn't even notice that train there until just now. I didn't even know that was like a thing. Maybe a couple of riders off the back going to jump on and try and cut them off up ahead. Some reason that made me think of downhillers and it reminded me of the Red Bull Rampages this weekend. If you're in chat and you're watching Red Bull Rampage this weekend, let me know. Me and the boys. If you've ever seen any of my Instagram, you can head over there and see that Micah is my second youngest boy, is my wild one who likes to break bones and chip teeth at 9 years old because he's such a crazy mountain biker and likes to send it. But taking the trolley to another spot out on course reminds me of chairlifts. Anyways, Red Bull Rampage this weekend could be a lot of fun to watch. Irvine, London Phoenix, here we go. To the front, the ladies, though, now about to make their way over the top. 21-second gap still to the chase. They're not going to be caught. This is the final Ks here. They're 36 kilometers in. 48 minutes of racing down in with the EMEA for the West. And the women, it's been some of the best racing we've seen all day by far. Big thank you to these ladies and what an amazing job that they've put on. Racing out here today, always hugely appreciated. This is going to come right to the line. What makes this really interesting is the conversation, of this Sienna Hayes having this breakthrough ride. Lou Bates, doing this solo ride. I would call her coming into this race prior to what Wahoo Lacole has shown me as the favorite in a sprint situation like this. We said it on lap 1 that she can cover just about any move. She might not be quite the strongest rider when it comes to pure FTP, but she can hold on with the best of them there, and then she can really kick to the line. But now at this point, this new Wahoo Lacole team showing up with Maud, who also has a really, really good sprint, but then her other two teammates that are showing us that they're just wattage cottages when it comes to these sprints here. Arthur, as well as Langham. I mean, how do you beat them on the day? That's going to be the question. Another question is, have they been fueling up enough? That's the other side of things here. And what kind of fuel? Also, it is a longer race out here. There is that reality. Is that I'm not sure that as far as the racing goes, I just feel like this is a little bit longer when it comes to the kind of sprints that we're seeing out here. It's almost the 1 hour mark. So we'll see how well they're able to hold on to those kinds of digging really deep efforts here. And up over the top here, Sienna here trying to hold on. Not going to be doing so. She's just going to be the lead out now. And I mean, Arthur, I think they're just looking to follow these wheels, really knowing that they just can't challenge the reality of Arthur and Langham. They come on through. I think Maldarou even takes down that third place. Bates, no! Okay, this is interesting. Bates used that feather power up. She's looking for the double. That feather power up was used prior to across the line. Smart to do there because she's looking for, that was an all-in risk because a feather would help a little bit in the sprint. Well, maybe not actually lightening her up. You actually want to be heavier on the downhill. So maybe a little bit of a kick momentarily with a help, but she's looking for a draft or an arrow. We'll see what she ended up getting. There may be a lot of luck here at the end of the day for Lou Bates, because if she did get an arrow power up, that could win her the day. This is going to be so interesting right to the line here between these ladies. This is it for EMEA West Women's Division 1A. About 2 kilometers to the line now at this point. Legler here, a little bit of a gap, it looks like. That's going to be for a minor placing. She's not going anywhere, it looks like. looking to break away from that chase group. It's 26 seconds back at this point. They are not going to be caught. You can see off in the distance, just over the hill here. It's going to wrap a couple of serpentine times, and you're going to see that finishing banner. LaRue sitting in. Can they beat the reality of Arthur? Now, the only way I think they could do it is if they don't time things correctly out here today. It's 3v1, v1, v1 at this point. Rachel Elliott, no sprint on her. She's just going to try and be a solid lead out for the rest of the crew out here and give it to Lou Bates as well as Sienna. There's the finishing banner. They can see it off in the distance here. Now it's going to be one more long 180-degree bend. Now it's going to be Cryogen to the front. Sienna now taking over. Now it's going to be Lou Bates. 6.9 watts per corner. Looking to bait something out. This is going to be an arrow power up very early. Bates is looking to get the upset. Not going to happen. She goes way too early. Arthur over the top, but maybe she thought that's her only chance, and Arthur's going to take it down. Bates fading quickly. Arthur takes it down by a mile. LaRue, I think, for second. Bates for third. Wahoo LaCole put on a clinic out there today. What a race. Elliott, Hayes, it looks like that's going to be your finishing order. And, I mean, what more to say other than Wahoo LaCole to stay? And watch out Premier Division. Absolutely. Awesome racing out here today. Back in with the men's racing. We'll jump back in with some of our replays as well as what the finishing situation was for the results. Abrantes continues with his domination, though. Veritas just seemed completely unstoppable. TBR looking to maybe in the back end of this race be a presence. But what can you even do against the reality of the truth that is Veritas out of Portugal? Looking to see if any kind of splits start to form here with Jet going off the front. This is a very whittled down pack, actually. You know, they said it was a flatland loop, a sprinter's course. No, and no. This climb has made things incredibly difficult. Let's take another look at it here real quick. I mean, there's just this reality that each and every lap, that's a no-joke climb. You know, the flatlands, I don't know. Like, this is an interesting thing to be calling the Flatlands Loop as we take another look at it here real quickly. 38.85 kilometers, 24.1 miles, 297 meters of climbing out here today. So, you know, you look at that, you almost are like, there's like a category 4 climb in the middle of this thing. It's 4 kilometers long. It's an interesting name at Flatlands after what we've seen out here so far. As the men look to finish up out here today, the current standings for the women here, I definitely want to, before the finish of this race, the situation for the ladies that we just watched was Wahoo LaCole in a pretty dominating position over the rest of the racers out there for their standings. They were in with 40 points currently. A 4-point gap, actually, over the top of the rest of the teams out here today. As we take a quick look at it, this is the standings for the ladies. I just wanted to highlight that real quickly. Lou Bates keeping them in the conversation. See, I raced like a girl 35. Some of this may be changing on the day, though, here, as we did see some pretty good gaps between them. So some of the attacks now maybe trying to open something up halfway up the climb. Doesn't look like it's going to be happening, though, for this men's side of things as they make their way around. I have a feeling this is all going to be Grupo Compacto. There's not a lot of wiggle room now at this point to try and make anything much of happen. As we wait for this, we'll take a look at how the women's results played out. And it was going to be Caroline Arthur with that crazy sprint we've seen from her over and over again on the day. Lou Bates comes on through for second place, just ahead of Maud LaRue, so it did pay off a little bit, that early attack. It might have been her best move, actually. to do so. It obviously paid off for some points, and it may keep them in the conversation actually at this point. Maud LaRue for Wahoo Lacole Elite Women there, coming in a half a second back. Rachel Elliott beats out Zoe Langham. Langham has been so strong on the day, but maybe just too many matches burned. Sienna Hayes there coming on through for Cryogen Stelvio there in 6th. It's going to be Joe Munden for Cryogen Stelvio, the Marie Louise Harts. This is a solid day for them, and actually may really bump them up with all of those points. Rose Beast Mode for 9th and 10th. They end up suffering. That all came down to that second lap attack over into that sprint point at the top of the climb. That second sprint point at the top of the climb by the temple ended up getting countered by Wahoo Lacole. And Rachel Elliott and the rest just barely getting back on terms. The three of them almost went into team time trial mode, actually. So solid result out there, though, for these ladies. The men still a little ways to go for them. We're going to keep on going on here with some of the results. We do like to highlight some of the other categories. In with the maybe the B category is going to take a little bit of time to get across the line still, but in with the C's, as they had a little bit shorter race out there today. It is going to be Melissa McCarter for the Union Chica Locas, Kelsey Turnell, very familiar name out there for the KRTC Hotter Than Hell, Vicky Sultana there for Saxawatts Whatnots, Anais Cadden there for the Herd of Gentoo Penguins, Carla Williams, good to see a Carla out on course, one of the forces behind Aeonian there for the Chica Locas. It's going to be Amy Boss there for Buckaroo CW. Fearsome, go 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice to see. For Lisa Elliott, Rosalind Villiard, Emily McQueen, and Sonia Whiteman. Actually met Sonia a while back. I believe it was in London. She's been a part of some of the live events. Good to see her out there still racing. And then in with the D category, it's going to be Evo Roses with Christine Saad, Sam Denny coming on through for the Herd of Emperor Penguins, Tracy Sharp for Howick Bellis, Carolyn Hurst there for Raven Loonies, Fiona Thompson there for What's Up Demons, Heidi Lehman there for Neonian Divas, Claire Greensides for Evo Roses, Jade Berkmans for Belgian Zwift Riders Tigers, Egg Ermo for Vikings Freya, Stephanie White for the Herd of Emperor Penguins. That's the situation for the final results across the line. Not the standings or the team points on the day, but good job on your final kicks to the line. Lots of points for your teams out there today. The men's race still going on. And taking a look here how things are playing out. No spoilers, anybody. If you are watching TI, I did not get to watch yet today. I do not want to see anything in chat. If you do, I'm just going to ban you. No, I'm just kidding. No bans happening here, but just please leave it alone. One of the biggest esports events, if you did not know, going on this week. $40 million on the line. Dota 2 TI10. The best of the best esports players when it comes to that game out there in Bucharest for that live event, playing for that 40 million, and some of the most popular North American teams actually in a best of one today. Be quiet, Chad, if you did watch it already. Looking through here. Go WLC coming on through for Bryn Chef, saying 974 feet of climbing isn't flat, Jay Hardy. I'd have to agree with there, Jay Hardy, as well. Debbie in shape, good to see you. Glad to see that you're out there hammering as well. Reese, good to see that you're going to be on to the Rampage. You're not going to be out there hucking it, though, are you? And Reese, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. I'll give you a link right now if you want to talk. I'm not kidding. You want a link right now, Reese? You just let me know. You send me a Facebook message, and you can come and talk to me right now live. Tax here, a little bit of attack here coming from one of the PTZ riders. Corbin, TBR now. Brontes, these are a little bit of attacks. This is coming into the final few K of the race. It's about a K&a-half to go to the sprint point, and they are trying to set up pretty well. PTZ looking to make something happen. Limos now making his way to the front. It looks like 3.7 coming from him. And it looks like Tex, though, continuing to cover. And the lead out now happening from PTZ. Going to get upset, though, by Kirky. He continues to try and make these early attacks now. 11.7, 12 watts per kilogram. But Calcutta, again, with that drafting power up, is he going to be able to get the upset? No, Calcatta's just got consistency. Gerke unable to stay consistent with the wattage. Ends up for second. Ewa just continues to round out this third over and over again, it seems like. Unable to capitalize. He's got this amazing quick little watt per kilogram. But so far, we have not seen him able to capitalize on what it can accomplish. What it could most likely accomplish on the day. As we head to the finish line here, TBR on a little bit of a kick. Maybe trying to get some separation or at least set up well to be at the front end of the pack rather than having to fight really whittled down group. And with a very whittled down group here, it's going to change up the dice roll a little bit. It's not going to be quite as much of a dice roll. The timing's really going to matter. Making sure that you're riding wheels correctly, though. Not finding yourself at the front at the worst time that you possibly can. Feathering those power surges as much as you can. Timing it right to that final 200 meters. We've seen over and over again, attacks that go at that little bridge tend to be the point of contention that does win. We'll see that if that ends up playing out here for this men's race. As we make our way to the line, here comes an arrow power up already from TBR. Interesting enough, I think that this is actually to bait something out a little bit, as Corbin is only at 7.3 watts per kilogram. Maybe a mistake? Not positive. I mean, that absolutely did nothing to this situation here. And now a feather power up being used. Iwa Hirodora now unable maybe to... Well, we'll see if he's able to find his way to the line quick enough here now at this point, as it's going to be Bevilacqua to the line. Gerke again going early. Is it going to pay off for him this time? Right to the line. He might be able to nip it. Oh, I think he did it. SGAB with Gerke. I think he might have pulled that one off. That was right there, but very, very close. He's tried time and time again to go early. And this time, it may have played out for him. EMEA West Division 1. Still waiting for the results to come across the line. We'll see if we can get a replay for you there. I have to back it up a little bit in order to find it. But I think Gerke might have made this happen, which would have been an amazing result for him. As he continued to try and get away a little bit too early over and over and over again. Look at everybody after the races here. Absolutely. This is like the mayhem from all of the other categories that we see. Everybody essentially just over their handlebars. He just logged out. He just like, forget it. I'm done. It hurts so bad he just rage quits. All right, back in with the riders here. This is the situation that we just saw play out. Gerke went really early, I thought, but perhaps it was just right to the line. 13 watts per kilogram, actually. He didn't go too early, my mistake. That's actually right at the bridge section we were talking about. So he actually went a little bit late from what I was usually saying. 13 watts per kilogram, steady, holding. Iwa trying to come through. Is he able to do so? Smart. I mean, look at 9 watts per kilogram. See how much it's about timing and positioning here? Abrantes. Oof. That's too close to call. I mean, that was right to the line. Abrantes, it looks like, I think Gerke got it by perhaps that dish length right there. Abrantes had 14.9, was coming on so fast. But I believe Gerke timing it perfectly and taking the advice, actually, he didn't go too early, and going right at that bridge section. So solid little result there coming in from him. Men's results, I think we're about to get them coming in. And we do, and it was close. It was so close, everybody. Let's take a quick look here. Looks like, though, Abrantes. Smart, actually. Tom Gerke with 4/1000ths of a second. Alex Dickinson coming on through. It's going to be Taishu. Iwa there for 5th for Jet Racing Team. David Bevilacqua there for 6th. It's going to be Lewis Eccleston, followed up by Graham Irvine, Stephen Corbin, and then Dominic Rath for SG Atletico Udelsdorf. Let's go ahead and head on over to the C category. The Bs are most likely still finishing up. It's going to be Samuel Bukak there for Team Electric Spirit Company Vesper. Jordan Noble. Then it's going to be David Mosley. Look at all of the guys out of the UK here. Oh, my goodness. Thomas Riley, Jonathan Bishop for Already Woodley Rhinos. It's going to be John Phipps, followed up by Andrew Ellis. Rob Thomas and Andrew Lowe and Toon Bailmakers. They're coming on through for out of Belgium for the RR Woolly Rhinos. In the D category, John Starkey for our Dangerous Rhinos there, followed up by Mario Riso, Team Italy 2. Michael Falder for TFC Wolverine, Ben Murray, Paolo Caroli, Alex Bush, John Fuller, Paul Martin, Mark Ashton, and then Alistair Brown, rounding out your top 10. Looks like there was a little bit of a group off the front there with the chase led out by Alex Bush there across the line. So, see if I don't know if Reese is actually going to take me up on that, if he's still hanging out or not. 0.02 seconds, Chris. I know it's so incredibly close. So always incredibly close. Of course, these dads, Carter. Nice job to BL13. We do see you out there. You guys absolutely killed it out there today, it looked like. As we'll be back with more racing. We actually do have another sprint coming to the line. It's always nice to show off some of the minor placings. Not sure if there's any points available here, but it does look like Electric Spirit Company going to take that one down just ahead of Jay Uman. Always love to see all of the chat afterwards too, and everybody's encouraging each other on. It's a great little way to end on the day. Is Mr. Pink and the TBR boys making their way to the line with Wakefield. Quality ride, guys. Loving what WLC's bringing to the table there with the encouragement as well. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for me. On for a solid 3 hours of broadcasting. We'll be back, though, in just about 4 hours from now for the America's East and the America's West. America's East, I believe, kicks off 6:20 my time. For the broadcast, we'll be in with them watching all of the men and the women, the top riders there, as well as the America's West. It will be maybe Dave and Kate. We'll see if Dave's back on board and has his internet fixed by that time, or perhaps it'll be myself and Kate Bates on the microphone, depending on how things end up playing out there. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, though. As always, super appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit those follow buttons. And we'll be back in just a couple hours for the rest of today's McCurry Island Flatland Loop for Zwift Racing League, race number 3, live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, as well as Twitter. As always, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and ride on.